Okay, I'd like to call the May meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. Paula, would you call the roll? Present.
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 Okay, thank you. I think Neil will be here in just a second. Okay, I'd like to go over the meeting process on the back of the cover page of the agenda. The chairman will announce each case and ask interested parties to indicate their presence by raising their hand. Commissioners will discuss details of the case, calling on staff for details. Following this discussion, commissioners may choose to ask questions of parties present. Interested persons may speak to support or protest the application. The applicant will be entitled to one brief rebuttal. Interaction between applicant and protestants on the floor is not permitted. Persons speaking are asked to approach the center podium one at a time to introduce themselves by name and address and also sign in, and to present their position as succinctly as possible. The Commission asks each speaker to limit his or her remarks to no more than 5 minutes. Following the public hearing on an application, the Commission will take one of the following actions. 1, approve the certificate of appropriateness. 2, continue the proposal. 3, deny that proposal with prejudice, which means the application may not be resubmitted for at least 1 year unless the Commission determines that circumstances have changed. And 4, deny the proposal without prejudice, which means that the applicant may reapply at any time. When an application has been approved and after a 10-day protest period has expired, the Historic Preservation Officer will mail the CA to the applicant. City construction permits cannot be issued until the CA has been issued. Contact HP staff for final design review inspection or to withdraw items that will not be completed. And finally, any person aggrieved by any decision granting or denying a CA may appeal to the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment. All appeals shall be made within 10 days of the Commission decision by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the BOA. Okay, next, 2 from the Office of the Historic Preservation Officer. Katie?
The only thing I wanted to mention, and I emailed the Commission to this effect earlier today, we've got quite a bit of additional information and material that has come in over the last couple of weeks. And while applicants and the public can always present additional information and can always speak at the meeting or send written comment, as a rule, the Commission does not accept new documentation or revised documentation at the meeting that has not been available for public review and for staff to evaluate. So if someone has some clarification to make or a clearer photograph, something of that nature, that they can provide to the Commission, that's fine, but it is really up to the Commission to determine if they have the ability to evaluate and understand additional information from an applicant or if they need to continue that item to a future meeting so that it can be evaluated by the Commission, by staff, and by the public.
Okay, thank you. Good point. Okay, now on to 3, acceptance of the minutes. Are there any comments on the minutes? Corrections? Motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are accepted. Next, code enforcement report. Anybody here in the city? I think you said that our code enforcement person was going to start coming or something?
He is, as a rule, going to start attending. I believe he is not available this month.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
He is out of town or on vacation currently.
Okay, do you have any comments then? Katie?
I don't have anything in particular to report. If you have questions about a specific case, you can contact our staff or code enforcement or the Action Center for more information.
Okay. All right, thank you. On to continuance announcements and requests. Katie?
We have 2 new requests for continuances, both to July 3rd. It's item HPCA 19-47 and 19-63. Those are D7 and D11 on your agenda. We'll need a motion and a vote on each of those.
Separately?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so D7. Is there a motion to continue?
I move to continue HPCA 19-00047 to the July 3rd meeting.
Okay.
All second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, D7 is continued. And now D11. The motion to continue that one.
Could you repeat which meeting we're continuing that to?
July 3rd.
All right, I'll make a motion to continue HPCA 19-00063 to the July HP hearing, July 3rd.
Is that a second, Suzanne? Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, D11 is continued. On to public hearings.
We have one dilapidated structure for review. These are structures that are identified by code enforcement as dilapidated and are forwarded on to City Council for their action to declare it dilapidated and ultimately to have the structure demolished if the property owner cannot bring it into compliance. Because this is an action by City Council, they are not required to get a certificate of appropriateness from the Commission, but the Commission does have the opportunity to provide a recommendation as to whether the structure is historic and whether its demolition would have an adverse effect on the character of the historic property and district. So we need a motion and vote on a recommendation to Council on this item.
Okay, is there any discussion or someone would like to make that recommendation?
Is this property vacant? Is the owner not involved?
We have not had any communication with the owner. It's the garage only, just to be clear. It's not the house. I don't believe it's vacant. Well, it does say Charles Schwab Bank is the owner, so it may be on one of these documents.
I would make a motion for recommendation for...
Excuse me.
Would you like to come forward?
I guess would like to speak to this?
I apologize, I was in the back there, I'm hard to see. Link Low, 2109 Northwest 27th, here representing myself, but also an abutting property of 2102 Northwest 27th, Sean Hughes. This particular property, to the best of my knowledge, is not vacant. However, this property owner does also own 2100 Northwest 27th, which is vacant, so it's kind of a muddled in between. It's the property directly behind him, so they do kind of go hand in hand. The house I have seen an owner be in. I've never seen the actual structure itself being discussed, the detached garage, have any sort of anything in it, partly because of the condition that it's in. I mean, during a strong windstorm, it starts to resemble the Tacoma Narrows Bridge as it sways back and forth, so I wouldn't want to park my car in there either. So, but to the best of my knowledge, it itself is not vacant, but the property directly to the north of it is.
Okay, and you live where?
I would be northwest of this property, just
Okay.
kind of catty corner from that.
Catty corner, okay. All right, that's good information. Anybody else like to say anything about that? Back to Joe.
And I'm going to read what staff says, just
Okay.
to make it clear that what we're actually doing, we are not approving or recommending demolition, but I would make a motion to forward the staff recommendations as stated in the staff report for case number C-19-11462, that the garage structure retains its historic integrity and contributes to the historic integrity of the district, and that the demolition of the garage structure will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district. So,
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second over here? It was Linda?
Ann.
Oh, Ann. Okay, Ann. Sorry. Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's been recommended. Next, on to the National Register nominations.
We have 2 National Register nominations. Sarah Wernicke is here from the State Historic Preservation Office, the author of one of our nominations is here as well, at least. Both of them? Both of them are here. Okay, great. So lots of people to answer questions if you all have any. The first one is Nrhp 19-1, Oklahoma City Schools Administration Building. This is at 400 North Walnut and is within the downtown business district, and will also go to the Downtown Design Review District for any exterior work to this property. They are planning on using historic tax credits as well. This building was constructed as the administration building for Oklahoma City Schools in 1919 and expanded in 1928, and then there was an addition to a neighboring structure that was added and is now being removed. This was constructed at a time of significant growth for Oklahoma City Public Schools and was designed by architect Solomon Andrew Layton, who constructed many other renowned buildings in Oklahoma City, and is eligible under criteria A and C at the local level for these areas. You have a staff recommendation to forward this on to the State Historic Preservation Office's Preservation Review Committee. From there it goes to, it goes to City Council and then to State Historic Preservation Office and then on to the National Park Service.
Okay. All right.
I'm Sarah Wernicke. I'm the National Register of Historic Places Program Coordinator at the Oklahoma State Historic Preservation Office, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. We also have the writer of the nomination as well, just in case.
Is the owner planning to apply for historic tax credits to do a renovation?
Yes.
Is that, okay. And what will it be turned into?
A law office.
A law office, okay.
Law office, okay. Okay. I can see that. All right. Okay, any more questions or comments? Looks great.
I appreciate the thoroughness of the application, and I would like to recommend the nomination of the Oklahoma City Schools Administration Building to the Mayor and City Council, the Oklahoma Historic Preservation Review Committee, and State Historic Preservation Officer and the Keeper of the National Register, and adopt the resolution provided as part of the staff report.
Okay. Is there a second? Second. All right. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's been sent on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I guess you have to stay up because there's another one.
Yep.
All right, our second one, NRHP 19-2 at 2301 Northeast 23rd Street, is in Ward 7, and is a nomination of the Trinity United Presbyterian Church. This is a building that housed 2 congregations that merged in I don't know the date, 1960, and it was the first formally integrated church in Oklahoma City, obviously at a time of great unrest in the civil rights movement. A lot of churches were often the last thing to integrate in many cities. So a really interesting story of these 2 congregations coming together, and they were also very active in the civil rights movement in general. And it's eligible for its historic significance.
Okay. Any comments on this one?
Well, I just want to take a minute to commend Richard Mize. Reverend Mize is in order. Anybody that's worked as hard as he did for his ordination and MDiv, and to thank him for his continued coverage of historic preservation issues in the real estate section. and I've enjoyed following his chronicling doing these nominations. This is the second one that I'm aware of that he's done. The first one was at Carrier,
Okay.
Oklahoma. So if you want your church on the National Register, hire Richard as your minister. But anyway, thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay. Is there a motion on this one?
I'll move the recommendation. Let me get the language here. Move to recommend the nomination of Trinity United Presbyterian Church to the mayor and city council, the Oklahoma Historic Preservation Review Committee, the state historic preservation officer, and the keeper of the National Register, and adoption of the resolution to the city council.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we sent this one on too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good job. Appreciate it. All right, now on to consent docket. Anybody like to remove any of those or go separately, I mean? If not, is there a motion to...
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse from the consent docket.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there any discussion on the consent docket or a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
Is that second? Suzanne? Okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the consent docket is approved. That was quick.
Okay, if you are cases 1 through 5 on the consent docket, item C on the agenda, then your application is approved. You will receive documentation from staff, and you are free to go. There won't be any further discussion of those items.
Okay. All right. On to D, cases for individual consideration.
Hpca 18-201 at 525 Northwest 17th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Sam Gresham Architects for Jackson Anderson for Certificate of Appropriateness to number 2, construct deck, elective. We do have an applicant present.
Okay.
Well, I would just ask that we could continue this item. The homeowners and I just have not circled back to this one. I didn't realize we were on the agenda on this one.
Holly, you're out of continuances on this one. This is the third time we've heard it. Sorry.
Well, then I guess we can just submit a new application at the time.
We can, a lot of times we can administratively approve a deck, so if you'll just get with them on exactly what they want, then we'll just do a new application.
Thank you.
So what do we do about this?
So it would just be denied without prejudice.
Okay. Easy one.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I did not understand that. But.
So I move to deny without prejudice HPCA 18-00201.
Catherine Montgomery, Preservation and Design Studio. If the applicant withdraws the application, then it doesn't have to be denied. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is correct. Did you say to deny or just, I mean, it doesn't really matter one way or the other, but.
Was it with prejudice or without?
Without.
Without, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Point of order.
I just didn't realize we had to go forward today. I mean, can I withdraw and then resubmit?
Either way, this application, HPCA 18-201, closes. And either it goes in the database as denied without prejudice, or it goes in as withdrawn at the meeting.
Is one better than the other?
Withdrawn sounds better.
I think the record clearly shows that it was why it was denied, not because it was an inappropriate proposal, but we just never got the documentation we needed. So it's really...
Yeah, can we do a withdrawal then?
That's fine. Okay. That's probably one less letter that we have to mail, so that's fine.
Perfect.
And no vote, right?
No motion, right? We'll just record that as withdrawn by the applicant.
Okay, all right, that was so easy. Next.
HPCA 18-202 at 111 Northwest 15th Street, Heritage Hills East, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Bo Schlaftower and Jeff Johnson, J-Lo Properties, LLC, for Certificate of Appropriateness to, 1, install accessory metal wall signs required.
Okay, is the applicant present? Okay.
Bo Slotzauer, representing J. Lou Properties,
Okay.
1613 North Broadway Avenue. Since the last meeting, if you remember, they had discussed that due to code that would be required that we remove the sign on the east part of the building. We asked for a continuance just so I could talk to the owner as well as the current tenants in this building. Since that time, we have moved to hire the sign contractor to come out and remove the east sign, and then leaving the sign on 15th Street.
Okay.
So that work has been done already?
No, it was supposed to be done this week, but due to the weather, they're running behind. We expect it to be completed in the next 30 days.
Okay, last time somebody from the neighborhood was here, had some comment, so assume you still have a comment.
Randy Ice, 119 Northwest 19th Street, here with Heritage Hills. Did everyone receive our letter, our discussion? Okay. And again, we'd gone through this before. The neighborhood believes the UCD ordinance prohibits a sign on 15th Street when there is property on Broadway owned or controlled by the existing owner. The exact quotations from the ordinance are quoted in the letter I gave to you, as is another note that indicates that our committee is the successor organization to be representing the UCD to the city. That's from the City Planning Department report of 1983. And I think it's fairly clear, but at least our attorneys think it's fairly clear. But if you all think it's different, then you all make that decision.
Okay. Katie, did you have additional information?
Yeah, I was, before the last meeting, I had checked with subdivision zoning, and they were a little uncertain as to what would be considered frontage for this structure. I was able to talk just today with the staff person who handles commercial properties in general for plan review, as well as sign permitting for plan review. They did consider the portion of the building facing Broadway to potentially be frontage, because because the parking lot is owned by the same entity, and whether there's another parking lot or not, I don't know that that's relevant, but that there is nothing obstructing this property from that wall to Broadway, so they considered that to be frontage. So then when we look at what the UCD says, it says when a commercial use has frontage on Broadway and is on a corner lot, no accessory sign shall be permitted in the side yard area abutting another street. At one time, there was a building in this parking lot, so this would not have historically been a corner lot, but now it's just that building and the parking lot. So I would still say there's some words and some phrases within all of this that are open to some interpretation, but that was the clarification that I did get on whether or not this would be considered. They said they would see this building as having double frontage on 15th and frontage on Broadway. Our guidelines talk about limiting buildings in general to one sign per building, including when there are multiple tenants.
And I don't think it really matters to us. We just want to know which side you want us to take down.
So you'd be willing to take the one off of 15th?
Yeah, I just need to know, do you want it off 15th or do you want it off the side that's facing Broadway?
Sounds like the neighborhood's agreeable to that.
Yes,
so.
the neighborhood wants it on Broadway. We're fine with the sign. We just don't want it on 15th Street.
I don't see that as an issue. We'll just contact the contractor and have them remove the sign on 15th and leave the one that faces Broadway.
Okay, good compromise.
So that would be approval with the condition that the sign facing 15th Street is removed.
Somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion for HPCA 18-00202. Approve the item with the condition that the sign on 15th Street will be removed from the exterior of the building.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's been approved with condition.
All right,
Thank you. Moving right along.
HPCA 18-205 at 439 Northwest 19th Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Catherine Montgomery Preservation and Design Studio, PLLC, for Eric Flesky and Nova McElhaney, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct parking cover, Elective, and 2, install additional paving, Elective. The Commission saw this in March and in February as well, and was continued to allow for the applicant to provide some additional information. There are not changes to the design at this point since the March meeting, but you did receive via email some additional material, and you have copies of that at your seats as well.
Okay.
Hello, Catherine Montgomery with the Preservation and Design Studio. I did bring copies of that just in case you didn't have it. I'd like to point out that there has been some irregularities with my emails reaching the city staff, and that the survey that I completed actually went to them on April 11th. And Katie and I discussed it. The other email came in on a little bit later in April 18th, and it was to, one, thank Katie for meeting with us and the owner, and to further discuss some of the unique circumstances associated with this property. We've also provided drawings that the Commission hinted toward at our last meeting. One of them is a drawing of 2 cars near a garage, or in a garage, which is the historic garage. It shows that it doesn't functionally accommodate 2 cars. You can get them in there, but you can't get out of the cars. We also provided a couple of different options that had been considered, and in all 3 of those options, those for relocating the car cover, those options, the structure would cause the death or removal of the one immense tree that's in the backyard.
Kath, I have a question. On the diagram of the existing garage that you sent, shows the interior clearance sideways, 18'1". What is the interior clearance lengthwise? But is it the same? It looks like it's symmetrical.
Yeah, it's about the same.
18'1" or so? Okay.
You can see that it's barely longer than the cars, and the cars are not 18 feet long.
Yep.
So it's a little bit less.
Yep.
These cars are just, you know, your regular kind of soccer mom vehicle. And in comparison to a very common family car like the Ford Taurus, they're only a couple of inches wider and a couple of inches longer. So they're not really an immense vehicle.
Yep.
I'd also like to call your attention to the survey that we did of the Heritage Hills Historic Neighborhood Historic District regarding side garages, especially side garages with short driveways. There are 353 properties to be considered. Out of those, 106 to 110 have an opportunity for a side driveway. That's based on the fact that they are corner properties. Out of those, a lot of them have front driveways, so they don't really even have a side driveway. So 71 have side driveways. And out of those, only 3 have a combination of a short driveway and an very steep incline or grade change that needs to be accommodated. And those 3 properties are, in fact, this one, which probably has the steepest grade, the one just south of it, which came up in previous meetings, and then one a couple of blocks away. So based on these results, I felt that findings of unique circumstances were definitely in order for this case.
Okay. Any questions? The different diagrams that you showed for the site, Were those proposals or just the 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, so the site plan, of course, was reproduced here, which shows that the car cover was set back a certain distance so that it's not forward of that back bay on the house, which was about as far back as we were comfortable in extending it. Then another considered option, which is shown as proposed site plan 2, shows it all the way back in the back corner. This one obviously would extend the impervious surface and the driveway associated with that by another 25 feet or 30 feet, which seems a little unnecessary, and I don't think that that option actually makes that structure any less visible than it would be in its currently proposed location. Option number 3 turns it to the back so that it's completely behind the original structure. I think this option actually makes it more visible from the side street, and it replaces the tree.
Were you thinking of all of those being carports?
Yes, they would be the exact same structure, just in a different location.
I think one of the issues is just the fact that it's a carport.
As established before, there is nothing in the guidelines that addresses carports. And in fact, during our meeting, Katie said that, again reiterated as she had in the meeting before, that this more likely represents an accessory structure.
I would just like to comment. I believe it is an accessory structure only because, for whatever reason, carport is not included in our guidelines. And I just know from working and being around the historic districts for many years that carports are nothing. A carport has never been intended to be allowed by people in the neighborhood or by the previous commissions that I know of, because it would set a precedent for historic districts to actually have carports. I don't care what you call it, it's a carport. I looked it up. It says carport describes a carport. Car cover is a fabric cover that you put on your car. So it is not a car cover. I don't feel like that the commission is responsible for providing covered parking. It's not in our guidelines to provide covered parking. I think that we try to provide garages where garages were. I think that we have tried to expand that guideline so that we do bigger for bigger cars, but it's just not part of our purview to accommodate cars in covered parking. And it makes it a very difficult decision because I don't think that we're looking at really a design. It's in the front. It doesn't fit with our accessory building part of the deal, of the guidelines. So this neighborhood is not for it. Staff has recommended against it, and it would be my motion, if I made one, to deny.
Would it be, I just thought about this, if they propose building a new garage in location of number 2, and then
we've already had a corner situation like this, or several, where it's a prominent house with a current garage, and we have.
I remember one where
we didn't get a new garage out of it.
One there was a existing garage that they converted to a accessory structure, and then we approved a new garage on the side street. I remember.
We did.
This would be the opposite of that. I'm just wondering if that would be something.
In that case, they did not have a garage due to changes that have been made over the past in the backyard. So this would actually be, building the second garage. I know it's an unusual situation, but I feel like I've given it a lot of time and consideration, even this time, to look through, and I did read all of the notes. I read the report and all of your comments, but I feel like that we are arguing over how to make covered parking, and I don't think that is part of what we're here to do, and I don't think we can approve covered parking or a carport. If you can look at the pergola, you can look at the accessory, you can look at the portico-share, it just does not fit, and for a reason, or we would have more of them, because people have asked for them before. I just don't feel like that it's appropriate.
I agree, and I recognize, you showed that you can't fit the 2 cars in, but I feel like we've accommodated that by having that extra paving. I don't think it's, like you say, our responsibility to provide shelter for the car, and it's not even like it is going to be covered going into the house. It's purely, for the car. There's the same case, essentially, like the house across the street. I can't remember what case that was, where they had a similar condition, and they had a little bit of paving, and they were able to park the car next to their house and get in easier. So I kind of agree with all your comments.
I would like to comment that Section 1.1 in the guidelines states that the city's historic preservation ordinance acknowledges that the historic districts and landmarks are valuable assets to the city. The ordinance recognizes that change is important to the community's evolution and an indication of healthy, vital neighborhoods occupied by residents proud of their neighborhood and its history. Development and investment that preserve the historic character of Oklahoma City's historic properties and districts, while also enhancing livability, are encouraged. In Section 1.2, the end of it says, historic preservation and historic landmark zone districts and properties are so designated to guide and not to prevent change. In this particular case, the Commission has an opportunity to approve an exemplary structure that meets all of the standards and guidelines with the exception of one, and that is under accessory structures, it is forward of the backyard line. So under unique circumstances, I've provided a report and a survey that proves that this particular situation only exists for 3 properties in all of Heritage Hills. Only 3. And two of those, one is this property and the other is across the street. I'd just like to read those points that I have provided in the email.
Catherine, I think we've all read those. I mean, unless someone wants to hear that, we did receive those. The Commission has provided for better livability or modern livability in that we've allowed for a new driveway, a second driveway, to be installed. So, I mean, it's not like we're saying, no, we can't improve livability in these structures. There's proof there that we have. So I appreciate all of your reports and studies, but I think unless anyone has a vote to approve it, I think we're still wanting to deny this.
I think everybody's talked about this a lot.
I do have the property
The
owner
design
here.
hasn't changed since the last meeting.
Right.
I felt like we hashed it pretty good.
Has anyone driven by the property in the past 3 months?
Yes, every day.
Then you know how invisible that the structure would actually be.
Yep.
The property owner is here. I'd like to see if he wants to make any comments.
Okay. So, no comments. Anybody else? No? A motion? Are you going that direction?
Yeah. I will move to deny HPCA 18-00205 without prejudice, according to the specific findings in the staff report.
Okay, is there a second from Linda? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's been denied.
Thank you.
Thank you.
HPCA 19-2 at 104 Northwest 20th Street, Heritage Hills East, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Phoebe Vaughn for Mary Vaughn, Redbud Restoration, LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1 Demolish House, Elective. The Commission first heard this application at the March Commission meeting and subsequently did have a site visit where Commission members were able to go into the house and inspect the property. This is the second time it's been heard.
Mary Vaughn, Redbud Restoration LLC, currently 1709 South Soleil Cove in Salt Lake City. I do have maintained an apartment here and own several other properties in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I
thank
don't
you.
want to repeat anything
Welcome.
my son said because I wasn't here at the last hearing, so I don't want to waste your time. I do, however, was wondering if I could get the information on which commissioners did tour the property.
Could you move the microphone up just a little bit? Kind of, there you go. Thank you. Good. You're a little tall.
Okay. The only comments I did receive, the neighborhood recommendation and the staff report I noticed had changed from, I guess, in favor of to not in favor. And I just want to say that I am a little disappointed you didn't address the attic. I don't expect everyone to go up and climb up in the attic or underneath the home, but that was, those two areas were the major contention of just jacking up the property, replacing stem wall, and replacing floor. And also want to note that I think you mentioned that there were you saw no termites at the time. It wasn't stated that there were active termites. It's already been like at least 80% demolished by termites. And so I'm just basically, I don't want to duplicate, as I said again. If you have any questions of me.
Ms. Vaughn, your investment company bought this property in 2018,
November of 18.
Did you have a property inspection at the time so that you knew the condition of the property?
So there were two homes that they were for sale as a block, and 104 was not subject to inspections. It was as is. And I've been doing remodeling for 10 to 12 years. I've done homes that I thought were worse than this. I have jacked them off the foundation, poured new basements. I've done that, and I'm doing it currently in Salt Lake. When I got into this with the structural engineer, it was just beyond what I had anticipated. I thought it was a little bit of water damage and, some termite shells and things, but I did not know it was to this extent. My intention was not to do this. I was going to, when I come back to Oklahoma to see my family, I was going to stay in this one. I mean, it wasn't, I used the LLC, but it wasn't like I was going to flip it and sell it.
Have you made an effort to do anything on those properties that you purchased them, or they?
One is rented. I have a long-term renter in 100 Northwest 20th, and I have met with, tried to. I guess we've met with just one framer, and we've contacted 5 other contractors that have said we won't touch it just based off of the pictures. And I do have some other, I actually have one, a meeting set up today with someone that if he thinks he can do it, he did another one on 20th. So I thought, Central Construction, he said he'd come take a look. I mean, again, I want to reiterate, I am all for saving. I've lived in Heritage Hills for 8 years. I own numerous other properties in the area, in Mesa and Heritage, and that's not what I wanted to do. I just, I got into more than I thought it was going to be.
Ms. Vaughn,
the cottages in Heritage Hills East and that whole area is particularly vulnerable now, and it's in my opinion, an integral part of the entire fabric of that part of our historic neighborhoods. So we have to be very careful about allowing properties to be neglected and dilapidated, and then approving their demolition when they can be saved, as many of them have. So, I'm going to be very reluctant to approve a demolition in that area without really compelling evidence that it presents a danger to health. And I think this house can be saved as a bungalow in that district.
Okay. And I respect that. I mean, I do. I wish I saw a feasible. I just anticipate, the stem wall. The house is going to have to be jacked up to replace the stem wall. One structural engineer said he didn't know if it would survive that. And the ceiling or the roof is braced completely wrong. So I don't know what I'm going to get into if I do start that. But I will respect your recommendation.
Most of the comments are about the foundation, the floor, and termite damage. You said about the roof being braced completely wrong?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So it was, this would be David Gasteb, his comments that the roof should not be braced to the ceiling, and he told me that it was.
Which page is that on? Do you have whose report was that?
This would be in my submittal packet.
Is this...
This would, so this is, I'm sure you have it, I just don't know what page it would be for you. It was dated November 15th.
Whose report is it?
David Gasteb.
Dave Gasteb, okay.
This would be under exterior, which is the first paragraph, the second paragraph. There's deflection on the east side of the roof slope. I don't want to read everything to you. The roof should not be braced to the ceiling, and he told me it was. I guess he did not write it is, but he said it was, and said that we were going to have to take that into consideration when the roof was taken off the home.
I guess it should be braced to walls, locations, I guess. Okay.
My comments would just be that if this was perhaps a much larger house, then I could see that, the possibility of the feasibility. But I just don't think that this size of house, this small of a house, it would not be possible to fix foundations and roofs. I mean, this is, I think...
Feasibly.
Feasibly. I mean, it just is... It's too small. It's just a little wood house. It's not a complicated, whether the framing in the attic needs to be addressed or foundation problems or whatever. I'm in agreement with Commissioner Schultz. At this time, I don't feel like that it deserves to be demolished.
Oh, excuse me.
Randy Ice again. Chair of the Design Review Committee for Heritage Hills. The neighborhood is opposed to the demolition. I have no idea what the roof situation is. I own 6 other properties in that block. I suspect many of them have improperly built roofs, but they've lasted for 100 years. So they probably could be repaired or redone. I pulled roofs off down to the rafters and rebuilt the entire things if necessary. Same thing with stem walls. I've replaced those. I have several houses this size. I've jacked up and I've replaced the foundations. I've done all kinds of things. These are small houses. They're not complicated. They're very straightforward. And I think they are an integral part of the historic district because not all historic houses are huge. Okay, we have to understand that in the course of our city's history, there were houses this size that were designed to be smaller, to be affordable to people that weren't millionaires. And Heritage Hills East has tried very, very hard for a lot of years to preserve these types of structures. We're just really opposed to demolition. We believe the focus of the commission should be on historic preservation. That's the name of this actual body, not the Historic Demolition Commission. All right? And you just voted to preserve a garage that I thought was in pretty bad shape. I think this house is in better shape than the garage, at least when the wind blows. I've never seen it shake, okay, like the last guy said. So I would encourage you to turn down this demolition with prejudice.
Katie, you're recommending, or your staff is recommending, a continuance?
So they have a continuance left, and we did identify several things that, hadn't been addressed or that were not visible to us on the site visit. So we always, we almost always recommend a continuance when there is a continuance available to give an applicant every opportunity to provide any additional information that the commission feels would be helpful in making their decision. So at this point, with what's been discussed, I'm not sure exactly what that would be. That's for the commission to advise the applicant. But that's why we recommended a continuance.
Would there be a possibility of you having an independent, I mean, I didn't know either one of these structural engineers or the termite person, but would the staff be, or commission be interested in having their own structural engineer take a look? at the attic and underneath.
Both of these
We can't
engineers are
do that.
reputable. I know both of them. They're both
Okay.
reputable, so.
Is there, I mean, I'm just, what I know we're going to get into when I start this, the house is essentially going to be rebuilt. I mean, is the problem just, I mean, when you have, am I going to be allowed to throw out termited wood? I mean, I just am a little concerned that it's essentially, I mean, the pillars are completely shot, the foundation, it's going to be rebuilt. I mean, it's without demolition or not, it's essentially going to be a different, and I was offering to go back with the same look, so I just would like that to be noted as well. But I would like if there could be another that maybe you would feel more comfortable with, structural engineer to give you.
We don't do that.
Well, I'm kind of torn on this one because I absolutely agree with the neighborhood and some of my fellow commissioners that, demolition is a last resort and, it is integral. I mean, it's a really great street. You've got a great pattern of development. And I think always the first choice is to try to preserve as much as possible. I did look at the reports from the structural engineer and the termite damage. And when I walked through, it does appear to me that you'd be replacing close to 50% or more of the house. I mean, there's so much damage that I could see with my own eyes as far as really the termite damage concerns me the most because it's weakened visibly, in my opinion, the structure so much. I have a hard time, seeing how you could fix it without, kind of changing the character of it anyways because you're replacing so much of the house at that point. So I'm kind of torn because at first, looking at it, it looks great. It doesn't seem like it has that much damage. Walking through, I felt like it's a pretty significant project. And I mean, I think the feasibility, I think it might take so much to go into it to, replace probably a bunch of studs, joists, stem wall. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing.
But we all do that.
Right. I mean,
We all do that.
that's just wood. It's not a complicated project, in my opinion. I just think that it's very doable. It may be more than 1%. I mean, and you didn't see it, so I mean that's unfortunate that because you might have chosen not to purchase it if you would have seen it.
I have gotten into some pretty bad things, and it was way beyond what I thought that I've done Gatewood and the house that was abandoned for 40 years, and it still wasn't to this extent. And I understand it is just wood, but it's just, and I understand the economic feasibility. I'm not a commercial entity or whatever, but there is a point where it's like, this is crazy. It is a 969 square foot house, but it's probably going to cost me $200,000 to do this. I mean, just based off of things that I've done recently, stick by stick bracing.
The termite report says the property has 82% damage to the walls, studs, and structure. Very specific.
I don't know where she got the other two, but yeah.
But that's still.
She said tubes between every single wall. I mean, the tubes were, she said it was just completely.
Inside of every single wall.
Yes. And underneath it.
Underneath it and every single wall.
And that's frankly, I mean, I went into the site visit, I didn't have my mind made up, but, I kind of felt that it looked good and I was kind of skeptical that it had to be demolished. And I did see a lot of termite damage. So that's really the one thing that made me feel, at least doubt, the extent that it would take to keep it.
3 factors for demolition. We've talked about every once in a while. One is safety, public safety. Another one is historic integrity, and the third one is economic feasibility or something?
So it's, let me flip to the actual terminology. It's not economic feasibility from the sense of this would be an expensive project.
Right.
It is that there is no viable economic use for the property.
Right.
So when you have a house in the middle of a neighborhood full of houses, that argument doesn't really work.
Right.
It kind of
More
circles back
commercial.
around to the structural condition.
Okay.
Because what we're really talking about is whether or not a structure is beyond repair.
Right.
And really, I don't think we can talk about.
Well, it also, if you're going to
The
make the economic argument, then we have to
value of
have a
historic
city
preservation.
manager-appointed
Right.
economic review board. That's not something that we just bat
I can only
around.
remember one time we've done that.
Yeah, we don't do it often.
But I just want to bring that up because there is those factors, and so Katie made a good summary, so. All right. What do we think?
Okay, so would you rather this be a continuance?
If you, I mean, I don't want to waste anyone else's, I don't want to waste time. I mean, I will get on it if it's voted down. I'll try. But again, I was cited immediately after purchase for it's every single check mark on the box, on the, from code enforcement we hit. And I mean, I will get started on it. But if there is any possibility that you would be interested in having someone else or that you could, I would appreciate a continuance. If another opinion might feel that it would motivate.
It wouldn't really.
We don't do that.
Me.
Well, I think there's a lot of work to be done to the house that would either be ordinary maintenance and repair. Under our category of what requires review, replacement in kind of things. Interior work, structural work that's not going to affect the exterior doesn't require review at all. There's other items that would be administratively approvable, even though it's a big scope. So if you are open to a continuance, and if you wanted to pursue some of those items further, that may be something that, better informs one more consideration of this.
Yes, I'd
as you
appreciate
start
that.
talking to other professionals.
Yeah, that would be great. I would like to do that
so
if I could.
Continue?
But that's not continuing a demolition.
It's continuing the consideration of the, so continue the application for, I would say for 2 months if you want, or 1 month, whatever you prefer, and just saying in the meantime, she could further research what work needs to be done to repair the house, because obviously she has a pending citation. Something needs to happen one way or the other, and that work moving forward would either allow her to go forward with repairs to the structure, or she could bring additional information back to the commission.
Well, can I make a motion? Okay. I'm going to make a motion to deny the demolition. And just move us past that to, I'll move that we, on HPCA 19-0002, denial of the application to demolish the historic structure based on the specific findings in the staff report. Prejudice.
Linda, can I interrupt? I think if the applicant requests a continuance, we need to give them a continuance.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Do you request a continuance?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
And from my understanding, I think the neighborhood presented my son with, or said, we will give you contractors. I would take because I've exhausted the subs I've used in the past.
Okay.
So if anyone from the neighborhood would like to give me that list, I would appreciate it. But I would like to.
1 month or 2 months?
2, please.
2 months. Okay. Would somebody like to make that motion?
So July 3rd.
Okay, I'll move to continue HPCA 19-00002 to the July 3rd meeting. Dr. Ice is here from the Neighborhood Association. I know on their website you guys have a list of some contractors, I'm remembering, so they might be able to help you with that.
I can look that up.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's been continued. Thank you.
And my apologies on that, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, Linda?
My apologies on being on the out of order thing.
That's okay. No problem. All right.
HPCA 19-15 at 1011 Northwest 14th Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Heidi Wazaleski Vernetti for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace screen door on enclosed porch, elective. 2, replace windows on enclosed porch, elective. Is she okay?
Oh, my gosh. Angela, you okay?
Is that Angel?
Angela, I got it.
What did she do? Did she trip?
Twice.
What?
She fell twice.
Just now?
Just then. She fell and she got up and she fell again.
Okay. Something's going on. Should we? You want to take a break?
Yeah,
for a
we're going to
second?
take just a 5-minute break. Sure.
Okay.
Sorry. Angela just fell.
Okay.
Make sure she's okay.
Okay.
Sorry. come back in here at 10 after 3.
Oh, no. Hey, no, that's fine. I thought you were Angela. Okay. gotta be nice and quiet, okay? Okay, you can't touch that, all right? Do you want to sit right here? You want to get some books, and we'll hold you. You ready? Oh, yeah, okay. Hello.
All right, we're back in order. Next case.
Yep. Hi, I'm Heidi Wazlowski-Vernetti, and we live at 1011 Northwest 14th Street. We were here, I believe it was 2 months ago, to talk about our side porch, which has aluminum siding and storm windows.
Heidi, we need to introduce the case
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry, go on.
I thought she did.
I think I did.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, yeah. So just pick up where we left off.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I was thinking the same thing.
A little confusion.
It has aluminum siding and storm windows, so we want to put in a solid wood door and then single pane windows to comply with the standards of the neighborhood. So since our last time here, we have changed the door to have more glass, and then the windows, rather than be double hung, are single hung to give the open air feel, and they're going to match the length of the windows in the front of the house. And then we'll frame out the door with birch, and we're going to have birch underneath the windows as well on the sides of the house, the east and the north side.
I missed the last month. Which opening are we talking about? Is it the one right there?
Yep, right there.
Right there, okay.
Correct.
So it's a side porch that was enclosed many years ago, and so there's aluminum windows and doors on each of 3 sides of the porch, the front, the side, and the back.
So it sounds like she addressed some concerns that we had last time.
Yes, we got, I think, materials that better meet the guidelines. They did add some glass for transparency to the door at the front, and just kind of overall better documented the design to make clear what their overall intent was for the look of it.
And matching side lights now rather than just framing in, so the door with the matching side lights, so all the glass aligns.
Have you read the comments from the neighborhood?
Yeah, I did, yes. We are fine with including a door that has more glass. 3/4 glass or full glass would be fine with us if we need to, and we can work with Katie and Angela to pick out a different door and side lights.
Okay. I mean, I still feel, here's what I feel like, is that you're going to end up with a house that looks like a duplex.
Okay.
If you don't, if you don't make the porch portion look more porch-like or you know, more transparent.
Okay.
If you put that door over there, they're going to knock on, you see what I'm saying?
It already has a door there, though. Right. That's a screen door, so we just want to keep it as it is and replace it with another door, and we can have a full glass door so it looks like another window.
So you're keeping the aluminum?
Nope, all the aluminum's coming off, and we're framing it in with wood, and then full windows.
Okay. But, okay, so you've turned in this. Right now you have a half wood door.
Correct.
And half wood side lights. And
yes.
then 2 panels.
So the framing around it, the door that we're picking is not a custom door to fill the entire space. It's a stock door, and then our framer is going to frame around it rather than customize a door and customize side lights.
I mean, again, I feel like that it's not.
You'd like to see more glass.
What? I want to see more glass. I think really using wood panels of any kind are going to, it's not going to fit in with the idea that it's a porch. And even though, I mean, right now, even though it's a, you know, kind of an outdated, not historic porch infill, it does look, it reads like a porch. And so I would just say that, you know, it needs to read more like a porch instead of a second front door.
We can increase the length of the glass. I'm fine with that, and then just frame around it. We were just matching the glass to match the other windows on the house.
I think you're talking about like a full view door and side lights?
Right, like French door. Would it fit to have French doors there?
We could have French doors or one full-length French door, either way. I think it would be a little wide to just have 2 French doors. That's a large opening.
I think that was a comment in the Heritage Hills Neighborhood Association that they made that maybe a French door would be appropriate. And actually, I think kind of like that suggestion because it does make it seem secondary to the main entry. I don't think you're going to have people come and knock on your French doors thinking it's a front door. And I mean, I would even think it'd be kind of nice. You could open them up completely, so it's like you almost open up your entire, sunroom or a side porch if you wanted to. So I don't know. I think it might be an interesting.
I kind of think those wood panels on the door, the side lights, and all the way around are really not appropriate for a porch. Plus, they will deteriorate. Wood, you want to minimize, I think, the wood panels. And,
Okay.
And everybody has south-facing wood panel doors that are unprotected. You have to replace them about every 3 or 4 years.
2 French doors then, or 1 on the front of the house?
I like the idea of 2. How wide does that open up?
Like a pair of doors. Well, and the
8
French
feet.
doors, they might be smaller than 3 foot wide, or they can kind of each leaf can be
30 inches. So maybe
whatever
5
to
foot.
fit in that space. Yeah.
An 18-inch. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
that
fine with that.
That design, too, that specific floor plan is sort of all around the park. The exteriors of the house sometimes look different, but, sometimes it's turned this way and that way. And so there are a lot of examples of French doors of different sizes and different things that you might take a look at, because it's very, very similar footprint to yours.
Okay.
The porches have been taken in. You might take a
I
look.
think what you
fine with
should
that.
try to do is not draw attention to the door. It's like what Joe was saying with, anything that's really paneled or more glass the better, right?
It's a big opening. I'm adding it up, and it's 108 inches, which is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had 2 regular French doors, even at 36, that'd be 72. You still have,
What?
you still have 18 inches on either side. So anyway, that would be, and then I don't know if there are comments also, I don't know what your plan would be then to do with the windows on the rear.
Okay, they were just the same length as the ones in the front. We can increase the length on them. Right now, they have aluminum siding panels underneath, so we were just kind of keeping that look of having a wood panel underneath. But if they need to be longer, that's fine.
I would go full height.
Full height, I would agree.
So in the whole space there, so you would have no wood except for the wood all around framing, so no wood panels on the bottom. Okay, we can do that.
Okay, so we continue this one for new.
Can I work with staff? We've already come back once, and we can pick French doors, and I can call the window guy and have bigger windows made.
And we often administratively approve door replacement. I think we're all in pretty good, agreement and understanding on what the changes are that everyone's requesting. So I'm comfortable with working through the applicant after the fact if you all are okay with that.
So approve pending staff's review.
Well, I think we would continue it, then she can work with staff, and they can administratively approve
Well,
it.
because there's windows involved, we wouldn't typically administratively approve it, but I think because of the discussion that we've had, you could approve it with the condition that they submit revised drawings to staff based on these comments.
Got that? All right. If everybody's agreeable, somebody want to make that motion? Or?
I can make a motion, if you all would also look, I would say to approve with the specific findings 1 through 6, and then note a, what do you call it?
Condition.
Is that correct, Katie? Okay.
1 through 6 or 1 through 8?
7 and 8 are referencing the design turned in today.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I would make a motion to approve HPCA 190015 items, I guess it is, 1 through 3, with the specific findings 1 through 6, as noted by the staff in the staff report, with the condition that design changes be made to the door and to the opening where the door is to be more of a full glass French door or double French doors with glass on either side, and that the opening in the back be glass from top to bottom in a configuration already proposed by the applicant, which was 4.
Okay.
You good with that?
Oh, I'm perfectly fine with that. Thank you all very much.
So we got a
Excellent.
second.
Second from Ann, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. Been approved with
Have
condition.
a great day. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, next item.
HPCA 19-18 at 2601 North Chartel, Paseo, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application by Holly Hunt, Sam Gresham Architects, for Zach Punnett, A to Z Properties LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, altered clip gable end required, 2, lime wash house required, 3, replace wood fascia with fiber cement required, 4, replace stucco with siding required, 5, replace door required, 7, reinstall brick required, 8, replace ceiling at east porch required, 9, replace columns at east porch required, and 10, replace sidewalks required. I believe we've got some items on here that we realized are a little bit out of order with the way they were labeled and enumerated on the agenda, so we can kind of go through, on the staff report. So we'll just make sure when the commission makes motions that we reference the agenda, since that's what was publicly noticed, and get those numbers and items correct.
Okay.
So I have worked with staff on this one, and I feel pretty good about the staff report.
Name is?
Oh, I'm sorry. Holly Hunt, Sam Gresham Architects.
Okay, great. For the record.
So I was thinking maybe it would be best if we talked about the items that are recommended for approval, start there and address any items that, discussion items, and then maybe circle back to the continuance items.
Okay. Let's see.
I know, it's a little wordy.
Well, they've approved quite a bit of it. Do you have certain issues or certain requests based on staff's approval?
No, I just meant the items that staff recommends approval for. I'm in agreement.
You're in agreement, okay.
Yeah. So I was just saying if there's any items, maybe we can address those first.
Holly, the owner, was amenable to all the conditions?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there a plan for the brick? Kind of describe that more in detail.
We were really hoping that we could have, an example of some of that teething in, and just he hasn't gotten around to it. The weather has prevented that. So.
Okay.
But that condition, isn't that still, working with staff to determine that that's in accordance?
So the clip gable end?
Yeah, okay, so that's one that has been suggested for continuance. Again, I just feel like you could make a really strong argument that this proposed design is more suited to the architecture of the home. We realize that it was done prior to a CA, and so you have every right to, deny it, but here it is, so.
Which one are you talking about, the gable?
The one, it's got the red arrow to it there.
Right.
It faces east, faces Chartel.
Mm-hmm.
And it does match the, other two gables in pitch and fascia. So that was just kind of the idea.
But there is a hip on the back there.
Well, yeah, it has one of those steeper pitch roofs in the front, and then, the back is just a hip. But all the, street-facing facades have those steep gable ends, except with the exception of this one.
And, unfortunately, it is a, it is a characteristic found on Tudor roofs. So, it's not out of character.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that personally was an important part of that corner, so I think it would be better if it was restored.
I'm sorry?
I think it would be better if it was restored myself to what the original.
Restored.
I believe that's called a Dutch gable too, where it's
Sure.
clipped, as you
And
say.
I think we would be fine with even denying that one item. I think we're amenable to the restoration on that. I don't think I'll fight for that. I'd rather us be able to move forward today.
Okay.
And the sidewalks?
Correct. So I was hoping you guys would go ahead and approve this, and here's why. It's just, I don't know what else to do. Like, those sidewalks were already gone when he got the property, so at this point, I guess, could we work with staff to determine what the typical sidewalk width is in the neighborhood and just make them that way?
Typical what?
Well, the sidewalks are already gone. So
they're gone. Okay.
I did a 5-foot sidewalk because that's typical for like the major sidewalks, along the street. And in this neighborhood, a lot of times you see 3-foot sidewalks. I mean, I think we'll do whatever is typical of the neighborhood.
So we can administratively approve sidewalks. So we could just continue that, and then when you figure out what the dimension should be, we can administratively approve that. On the clipped gable, I think because it's already been altered, we probably want to continue that and see something documenting what it's going to go back to, because we don't have a drawing for that.
Sure.
And just make sure that it gets put back the way it's, so we have something to put in the CA that says it'll be reconstructed.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I guess that could be either continued if the commission wants to see it again, or it could be approved with a condition that those drawings are submitted to staff.
Right. So. And I do have existing elevations that I drew just based on some very old photos that we found on County Assessor. So, I mean, those are there. I think we could work together on establishing what it needs to be restored to. I mean, because this is still currently how it is, so you can actually see where they've tacked on the new. So I think we could get there.
So Katie, that's not too burdensome for you to have to work with?
No, I think that's going to be a relatively simple drawing of something that we have photos of to check it against. So I think staff can handle that.
I think we're pretty clear about
We're talking about restoring it.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. And the rest are approval recommendations.
Did we talk about the brick? Sorry. Item 7, reinstall brick.
Well, it's already one of the conditions of that approval that we work with staff to show that that's, that the tuck pointing and the brick restoration is done in accordance to the guidelines. Correct? Isn't that?
Yes. Yes. Heidi, on the agenda we had, or Holly, I'm sorry, we just had a Heidi. On the agenda we had item 2, lime wash the house. Is that withdrawn?
Withdrawn.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. We have decided to go with restoring the brick, and he's going to redo that mortar to make it match the historic mortar.
So there are 2 items for staff to review currently, the sidewalks and the gable end? Is that correct?
Well, the gable would be approved with condition. The sidewalks would just be continued, and we'd work through that. Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion for anything, or is there more questions?
So you were saying sorry. So you said the numbers didn't match up? I'm trying to figure
The
out.
descriptions
Oh,
don't.
I went through and checked. All of the numbers are the same, I believe. Some of the descriptions on the agenda or on the staff report are not quite the same as what is on the agenda, but I think if you just want to say the item number, we've got it. Some scrivener's errors there in our descriptions, and we'll get it straightened out.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve HPCA 19-00018, items 5, with the specific findings and conditions as noted in the staff report. Items 8, with the specific findings and conditions as noted in the staff report. Item 9, with specific findings in noting the unique circumstance as listed in the staff report. Continue that.
Which ones?
5 5, 8, and 9 so far.
Okay.
Did you want to start with, did you want,
Oh, yeah, here we go.
the previous page had items as well?
Yeah, see that, item 1, alter clipped gable end with a specific finding as noted in the staff report, and with a unique condition, or the condition that applicant submit drawings to staff for approval.
3, 4, 7.
And items 3, 4, and 7 with specific findings and conditions as noted in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, those items have been approved.
And then continue HPCA 19-00018, item 10, replace sidewalks. I guess, is that next meeting, or can they submit to staff?
You could do July 5th, that way we've got plenty of time.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Or July 3rd, I'm sorry.
Or July 3rd or June 5th?
July 3rd is fine.
To the July 3rd.
Okay. Your second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Item 10 is continued. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Next case.
Do we need to make a motion to continue item 7, Katie?
I'm recusing myself from this.
Okay. On 7?
Oh, did? Okay, I stepped out at the beginning.
Oh, okay,
We've
yeah, we already,
continued it.
yeah,
I'm
we've
sorry.
already continued that, so we're on number 8. Yes, and Joe's recused yourself.
HPCA 19-58 at 507 Northwest 24th Street, Paseo Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application by Catherine Montgomery, AIA, Preservation and Design Studio for Floyd Simon, Paseo Holdings LLC for certificate of appropriateness to 1, remove rear chimney, elective.
Okay.
Floyd Simon, 900 Northwest 16th, owner.
So this is just a service chimney on the back of the house?
Yes,
Building?
it is.
Yep. Okay.
So Floyd, why do you need to remove it?
Mainly because of the space inside of the unit, and we've already removed it up above the ceiling joist. It's supported currently. I think it'd be better for the overall structure in the long term for it just to go, rather than try to build some extravagant structure to continue to support it. It was pretty bad out of a line. When it was going up, it had probably about a 1-foot lean going out the back. Obviously, you can see it in the pictures. Probably doesn't help us that there's no other buildings around it currently. I assume there will be buildings around it in the future. But it is the service chimney in the back. There are 2 other chimneys on the east and west side of the property that are the fireplace chimneys. That was not a fireplace chimney. That was just a service flue.
Okay. Seems pretty simple. More discussion? I'd like to make a motion.
Well, I'm just looking at guideline 3.7.3, and I'll read it. Preserve the original shape, line, pitch, and overhang of historic roofs, as well as architectural features such as dormers, chimneys, and turrets. And I understand that it's it's at the rear of the property, but I don't know, I can't get past that guideline, honestly, in order for me to
We've approved it many times. We've approved this many times.
We look at every project on its own merit, though, right? I mean, everybody else may disagree with me, but I just had to bring that up.
It's okay. Any other comments?
So I would understand it actually presents a structural issue at this point, that it's not...
Well, we've got it supported in 2 places currently. On the, I guess that'd be the second floor they'll have to go pretty soon, so we'd have to come up with another structure to continue to support it. My contractor's built a base around it. It's a pretty good base. We've spent quite a bit of money just suspending it until this meeting because we wanted to continue to work on the inside. But we would have to do a significant amount for the city to pass it as to code, framing code, because it's, right now, it won't pass. We'd have to get engineering plans. I think there's at least probably 6-inch, some sort of 6-inch base that is attached to the middle support wall. It's over my head, but it could probably be done. But when we first started this, it was something that I wanted to remove, and it, we kept it up to get to the meeting in hopes of it going down. Obviously, if you guys are opposed to it, we can figure something out. I would still like to remove it because it doesn't have any use except for the exterior.
Right. Okay. Any comments from the Commission?
I mean, yeah, if it were the only chimney, maybe I would be more concerned about it, but it's pretty small in the back of the building, and you've got the 2 other chimneys, so to me it's a pretty minor feature. If it's kind of being artificially supported and it's not serving a function, I'm kind of okay. Demolishing probably.
I kind of agree that we should go by the guidelines on chimneys, or else.
Would it make any difference if there were 3 other structures of this similar size on the lot to this north, and on the other side it wouldn't be be as visible as it is today?
It's worth preserving. I think the point of the guideline is what are we going to preserve and what are we...
Yeah. I understand.
So if you look at it purely from that point.
And the guidelines don't distinguish between a service chimney and a fireplace chimney. It's, to me, 3.7.3 is pretty clear.
What now?
3.7.3, in my view, is pretty clear, and there's no distinction between a service chimney and a fireplace chimney.
Okay.
But we've approved this many times, service chimneys. Maybe if it's not as visible, maybe that would be a good, but many times. I don't see what's different about this.
I do think that the visibility has been a factor
The visibility,
before. I think we've seen
yeah.
it on rear, when we've seen rear additions to a house, that's mid-block, and there's a service chimney on the back slope of the roof on a
Right.
house that's not really visible from the street. I do think, we anticipate other structures filling in that space to the side, but right now it is, you're kind of in that corner lot predicament of we get to watch everything you do to your property.
So from a visibility standpoint, it might...
Yeah, I mean, currently it's visible, not from the front, I would add, but, I mean, if there were a future development, I think it would be less noticeable, but that isn't the current condition, I guess.
Yeah, it seems so insignificant, but the rule is just so black and white that it's really hard to veer off the path on that one. I want to say, just take it down and no one will notice it, but at the same time, the rule says what the rule says, So
Yep.
I don't know that I could vote and approve it.
Like I said before, we have approved this many times. The only thing different here is the visibility, I think. So,
Because it is on that corner lot and because there's nothing around it, it sticks up.
Okay.
It seems very visible to me, but I struggle with tearing it down.
I guess I understand the Commission's view on that and it being in there. I do think that because it is the 3rd chimney, that's not a fireplace chimney. I know there's no distinction in the HP guidelines between service and fireplaces. I think maybe that's something we should look at because I know it comes up quite a bit. If it was the only one on the front or in the middle, or you could see it on the front of the structure, I would completely understand. But it's not, and there's 2 on the east and west side that are the fireplace chimneys that we are keeping. I understand that, but it's so far back in the back of the building, and it's, in my opinion, insignificant to the structure. That's kind of why we asked to remove it, plus the issues that it could cause in the future with just having 1,000 pounds of brick suspended 5 feet above the ceiling joist in the attic.
Any more comments? Anybody? Okay.
Okay, well, I'm in agreement with staff. Sorry, Floyd. With guideline 3.7.3, I mean, it is a chimney. It doesn't differentiate the type of chimney. And I just kind of don't want to get in a position. I mean, you say we've approved demolition of a lot of these. Well, I don't know where were. Where were they? What was the situation? And we have to look at every project on its own merit, not what was happening next door.
Usually not visible from the front.
Yeah.
And the back.
Yeah.
And mid-block. Mid-block usually.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to move to deny, unless you want a continuance.
Do not.
What else could he say?
Well, we have to provide that. Deny HPCA 19-00058, item 1, to remove the chimney with prejudice.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, been denied.
Thank you.
Was there a nay?
Yeah.
Okay, one nay. Excuse me, that was...
This brings up a good point, though. Maybe this could be a good workshop topic because, these chimneys on the side, like those are easy to keep and preserve, they don't affect the interior layout or anything. But a lot of the time what helps preserve some of these old buildings is the ability to remodel them and turn them into different uses or even the same use but just make them more updated, different room sizes, things like that. And sometimes having an awkwardly located chimney, or in this case, like the service chimney, I mean, all the time it does become almost like a hazard maybe if it's got to find some creative way to suspend it or whatever. So
Yeah.
might be worth examining.
Kind of crazy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Future discussion. Okay, next case.
HPCA 19-61 at 2516 North Hudson, Jefferson Park, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application by Lauren Capron, TLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1 replaced roof, elective.
Okay, there's Mr. Capron.
Lauren Capron, 2516 North Hudson.
Okay. All right, replace the roof.
I didn't hear him.
If you want to tell the commission anything about your application or respond to anything in the staff report.
No, I went over to the supplier of roofing supplies. It had been years and years and years since I'd put that roof on, and it constantly coming off, as you can see the ladder on the front. And I wanted to put a good quality roof on, and I wanted a very good contractor, and sent the gentleman out to see me, and we discussed this Decra material to put on the roof, and I thought it would be a contributing material that would look nice on that window which the window is quite a building in itself, and that it would have a high-quality flat, new high-quality flat roof material put on the top. So I thought, well, we would come down and see if we could put this metal tile roof on the building properly and maybe make it last through my lifetime. What I liked about it, and I'll point this out, was that this roof is not just it's screwed down and it hooks over. I'll do that so it gives you an idea. These tiles hook and they're screwed through the roof, and they will replace any portions of the roof that underlayment needs to be replaced, and see to it that that's done. Plus there'll be a new flat roof put on the top and new gutters, since even though you look at the gutters, some of the gutters have been wrapped with materials. And so I thought maybe for the next 25 years, which will be longer than me, it will last for my wife and family if we put these materials on the roof. So therefore, I'm before you this afternoon.
Comment was made that maybe that the clay tile design is not appropriate to this style of architecture.
If you're asking, was it there before?
No, we're asking if it's appropriate, the style, the clay tile then maybe something else like a slate kind of pattern would be more appropriate. Are there other patterns available?
I'm sure there are other patterns available. I thought this idea would be contributing if it was done properly.
The clay tile.
It isn't clay.
Well, I know, but it's the appearance of clay tile. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Any comments from
Lauren?
anybody on that?
Hi.
Hi.
It's been a while since I've seen you. What kind of architecture would you describe on the interior? Is it a particular style on the inside of the window mirror? Is it a, Tudor style, or is it a Spanish style inside?
It's a Spanish style on it.
It is a Spanish style. Yeah,
okay.
That's what I thought. It is a Spanish interior. It's very unique. I don't know if anybody's ever been in.
There's not a building like that in town.
It's very, very unique apartments.
That's good to know.
Yeah, you would be surprised if you went in. It's so unique. But
it's a neat building.
it is a very neat building. So when I read that, I thought, well, that might be. But you said that you put a new roof on many years ago. What did you take off?
I honestly don't remember, but I don't think it was anything more than what we're looking at. But the whole thing came off at that time. It was in '86 that we took that roof off.
So when was the building built?
I think about 26 or 28. And I do not know who built this building. I have never been able to
No
figure that out.
historic photographs that we could...
I do have an old photograph. A lady came from western Oklahoma with a picture for me and said her and a bunch of attorneys lived there at one time. But I don't have any idea who built this.
Or what the roof looked like. I guess that's what we're
Right,
looking at. is
either one, right.
Any
No historic photographs.
no historic photographs. I mean, based on the interior, I would say, it's likely. I'm not against that, but we could explore other options.
Well, I didn't know that. That makes some sense. But it'd be nice to know historically, but it doesn't sound like that exists.
It's full, but if I have one come open, you're more than welcome to come take a look.
Okay.
It has vaulted ceilings all on top of it.
Have to go and check it out. All right. So what do you think? Anybody else?
No, the exterior doesn't appear to be it's not a Spanish style.
I know.
It's kind of castle-like with what almost look like turrets.
Yeah.
But it's definitely Spanish inside.
Yeah.
So it's eclectic.
It's eclectic. But there's another one across the street. There's I think that there's several in the neighborhood that have that kind of more of just a red brick look. There's the one on the corner that doesn't the one where I can't think the doctor lived that had the complex. He had the big brick house. It's by you. And then the garage apartment in the back. What kind of roof does it have?
Are you talking about kind of catty corner to this?
Yes.
Oh, man, what?
The nice brick house on the either north.
It's funny. I see it every day, and I
east
can't.
corner.
And that roof's coming up.
That what?
The roof is coming up.
Coming up.
Yeah. And it's fairly new, and it's coming up. It's a high-quality roof.
I will say there are a lot of fourplexes and eightplexes in the neighborhood that have, kind of this red brick look, and then some of them have, I think, kind of similar where it's like a border of clay tile and then, some kind of flat roof beyond it, I think, kind of just around the edge. It seems to be I've actually never been in it. I'll have to come in and check it out sometime, but it's definitely an eclectic and unique structure, which makes me, I'm inclined to say if it's not very clearly Tudor or Spanish, or, something, then, I certainly think it'd be a good, durable product that would, maintain a good appearance and add to the value of the property and all that. So I think, and with the lack of having a clear design, characteristic, I'm not opposed necessarily. So it's steel, but it's a stone-coated steel, I guess.
Yeah. It's a heavily finished material.
And we
I
have-
was very particular about it, you know. I want it to last.
We've approved this product a couple of times, replacing metal roof tiles, and I think maybe once replacing a clay tile roof.
Is there a specific, I don't know if we have any say over the color or not, but is there a specific color that you're thinking of, or is it just going to be a clay, is it going to be kind of a clay look? Or?
Yeah, yes.
I don't know if it comes in our colors. There's this page here that shows the, there you go.
Yeah, I was just looking at this page, and they have all kinds of, I mean...
Well, there's a little detail that shows something gray, so maybe, I thought that was just a, for information, but it might. But, I don't know, I've seen gray, I've seen buff colored. Or something like that.
Were you replacing, I think, the gutters as well, or?
Yes, all the gutters have to be replaced. They actually have duct tape wrapped around them and painted in many places, so they've got to be replaced. I've been nursing it along for a long time, but you can't see it, but I can see it. You know, if you walk up to it, you can see it.
And those will basically be as is, or you'll be replacing those in kind, same thing.
There's some.
That's an administrative approvable item, right?
Yeah, actually, replacement of non-historic gutters in kind doesn't require a review at all.
Okay.
So.
And that elevation right there, Lauren, is there's some missing downspouts? That particular picture right there?
Downspouts?
Are there some missing on that?
No, that one single one services the whole thing.
Wow.
To the goal that way, right, between the wind and there, yeah.
Yeah. Looks like there's missing one on.
The dark spots that you see have been leaks that have been probably repaired with some kind of asphalt material or something at one time.
Looks like another.
And then that's another project that I'm going to be facing with, cleaning that.
Your roofer will probably tell you that you need another downspout on the left, but it's a lot of roof. But anyhow, that's not something we're not approving. Okay, what do we do about the historic character?
Well, staff has recommended a continuance to possibly explore different roof materials, but it sounds like we have some commissioners that are amenable to what he's proposed.
I'm receptive based on the interior, but
Any other comments on a no? Somebody want to not do it?
anybody from the right wing have comments? Nothing?
Katie? Katie says no.
I think the additional information you had about the building is helpful, and we certainly have lots of multifamily structures that have elements of clay tile roofs and that sort of thing, regardless of what their architectural style is. So.
Okay, well, I would make a motion to approve HPCA 19-00061. Let's see. And then with specific findings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's see, 6, 7, 8. I don't know, 8 with the specific findings through 8, I think. Is that enough?
I think maybe add that the material he's proposed, something about how you think it is appropriate.
Okay.
And 8 talks about not based on evidence of a historic roof, which we don't have, I guess.
Right. And then I'd say specific findings that 9, that the proposed roof material is compatible with interior features of the building, interior architectural features.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Okay, great. Taylor, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've been approved.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Thank you very much, and it was nice seeing all you again that I recognized for over the years.
Yeah.
As you know, I was here before years ago, and I'm looking up there and I'm going, oh, that's you. Nice seeing you.
Good to see you
Thank
too, Lauren. Thank you. Madam Vice Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
HPCA 19-62 at 415 Northwest 34th Street, Edgemere Park, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application by Alan Brown for Kendall and Ann Parrish for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct dormers in addition to expand attic, elective, 2, remove service chimney, elective, 3, expand garage, elective, 4, replace driveway and sidewalk, elective, 5, install fence and gate, elective, and 6, replace front porch floor, elective.
Okay, so looking at the staff report, it looks like they've recommended a continuance for all items. So we can start with
Okay, let me just
item
go
1.
through some comments. Alan Brown, 215 Northwest 32nd Street, and there's no pen here. I would sign in.
Katie, I have a quick question. Are all of the continuances based on the additional information that you put at the end of each one? Or were there other reasons? Because each one has, and I know that there's been a few items submitted, so I'm just asking.
Yes, those that where it says recommended additional information, that is intended to kind of capture what the issues were with each of those items.
Thank you.
Okay, I can run through some of the additional information. A lot of it is just things that I forgot about, so clarifications. But on items 1 and 2, the upstairs bedroom is connected to the bathrooms. It's open, and those windows on the east and west are sized to be egress windows, so they would be required. Skylights are possible, but they have to be within 4 feet of the floor, so those are required. And then another comment was about the landing. I think it was the back porch, concrete, and as similar to the other exterior concrete, I forgot to mention they would match the adjacent concrete. I said it was colored, but I didn't say it would match the adjacent concrete. So that's all of the new proposed concrete. Item 3, about the brick, we said match existing. So I went to, we intend to go to Fox Brick and Stone to find matching brick, and I was able to find it, and took a picture of it just so you have that.
Ellen, you said that was item 3?
I believe it's item 3. Is that the brick?
The item 3 is expand garage, so I'm just trying to follow.
Item 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks.
I must have got
Well,
it.
it's item 3, but then number 2. One of those.
Am I right or wrong? Anyhow, it's about the brick, the comment about the brick. And then item 4, or the driveway and sidewalk concrete again, colored to match the adjacent concrete, which is typical. The fence and gate, didn't put an illustration in there, which I attached. It would be a 6-foot-tall, quote, transparent fence and gate with 16 by 16 brick columns. And I attached a photo. The other fence question, the east-facing wood fence, I just kind of didn't think about the fact because it was north or south of the 40% because it faces east. The owner intended that to be a privacy fence for the owners to the east, But it does violate the 40% rule, so they're willing to let that transparent fence turn the corner and go back to the existing fence. And then front porch concrete replacement. The porch right now is painted gray color, and so their intent was to take out the section that's shown on the plan, and there's a photograph we included that shows the cracking that exists and the kind of raising up. So I can't think of another way to repair that besides removing a section. And then since the rest of the porch is painted plus the stairs, we're proposing to paint that section to match the rest of the porch.
Will you reference what page that's on in the packet?
The drawings or the comment?
The porch floor, the front porch floor, I guess would be a photograph that you submitted, is that right?
Yes. It's in the supplemental information that was passed out.
Okay. You guys know which packet this, there's a lot of papers here.
So, yeah, you have a document stapled together at your seats that starts with an email to Paula.
Right.
As materials Alan submitted.
So the second, actually, let's see, that's the second one. It's towards the back of that attachment, some drawings, and then there's the fence, and then it shows the porch. Oh, the photograph, it cuts off the portion that's cracked, or the print does. Let's see.
I was going to say page 2 has a picture of the porch, but it looks like it's not really showing the porch floor. Maybe.
Page 2, the staff report?
Of the supplemental information. On the back page of that email.
This one, Alan, this picture?
Yeah, but the crack it cut off the bottom of that. So if you look at the, I'm sorry there's so much information here. I think I'm getting forgetful of my old age or something. If you look at the one that was passed out today, they should have printed, yeah, the one that was printed today looks like this. It's handed out today. It should have been at your chair. I reprinted those emails just so they would show. And about the 5th page from the back is that photograph that shows the crack of the porch. Does everybody see that?
Yes, thank you. Does everybody see that? It's in this packet? Yep. And it's this picture? Yeah.
So it's just in the center of that side porch, and we would propose removing a section of that concrete, saw cutting.
And then painting the whole porch?
Excuse me?
Painting the whole porch after you do that?
We would repaint the porch to match the existing color.
Is it the existing color on the porch now, or I feel like I've seen several different colors.
Existing color on the porch now, which is
gray.
The gray color. It has been red. It's probably was natural. Now it's gray for the most part. Okay. I think that was all of
Alan, could you repeat your statement about the windows and the skylights?
Okay. The windows, you talk about in the dormers?
Yes. Sorry, the staff report says that the dormers may not be compatible, and so what would...
I'm not sure what that exactly refers to, but I was thinking it was the width. So I looked at it, and I had sized the dormer windows for egress because they're rated certain sizes, the width and the height. And they are slightly wide, about 4 inches wider than the double-hung windows on the first floor on the same elevation. So by increasing the height slightly and making the same width, 2 foot 8 inches, I was able to satisfy the egress requirement. And that's shown in that same new packet on the elevations. Those are revised to show the 2 foot 8 inch width. And I assume that's what staff was referring to, is the width?
Yes, I think so. It was just the proportion of those windows compared to the windows on the historic house.
So now they're the same width as the lower double-hung windows. The skylight, there's also, in that same packet, there's a, right past the drawings, there's a, right past the drawings, there's a perspective view that shows existing from the street on the bottom. Everybody see that? It says southeast view, and above it, it says proposed. So you can see you cannot see the skylight from the street, even though there's half a lot next to it, but you can't. It's behind the front gable, or Dutch gable, Dutch hip, actually. So, and it also shows you what you can see as far as the proposed shed dormer on the east, and also the back proposed gable, which you really can't see.
Was this the case where I think staff, maybe Haiti, you can remind me, there were several different sizes of windows? Or was that another one? Like 3 different, there was a concern there. Maybe I'm getting this mixed up with another one.
There's a lot to look at on this.
Do you remember?
I am not entirely.
It could have been another case.
I mean, I think there were lots of comments within the staff report about just the windows in general, that we've got skylights, and then the windows in the dormers, and the windows on the rear of the addition, windows at the first floor of the rear of the addition to either side of the door. There's just a lot of variety. I do think that revising the proportion of the windows on the second floor, the rear of the addition, and on the side shed dormers goes a long way towards addressing some of that.
Right, so the predominant width of all of the windows are 2 foot 8 inches now.
Okay.
And like most houses, they vary in height, especially on the back.
In the fence situation, it does come forward to the 40% mark, so the applicant will move
They're
that?
willing, yes.
Okay.
That was,
Unless there's a special circumstance that we don't know about?
I can't think of one that would, it's the adjacent owner, might prefer more privacy, but that's not a unique circumstance.
Hard to get that in these neighborhoods where the houses are so close to each other anyway.
So that's not a problem.
Okay.
And the final would be the garage expansion, where
Yes.
you already said the brick was the comment from staff.
That same southeast view shows you, what you'll see. Of course, right now, there's a site-proof fence on the bottom, but you can see what you'll see of the new garage. And the garage itself, looking at, I don't have a photograph of it, the existing door is not, of course, original, but there is evidence of a center post. So there were 2 doors there at one point, but if we went back to the same width, they'd be too narrow for cars. So that's one reason why we're proposing 2 single doors in the same opening. All of the current door, garage door, and entry door, that's all wood framed. So the new 2 single doors would be in that opening, and the addition to the east would provide for the entry door. And there was one mistake too that wasn't in the original packet. If you look at the garage elevations, the proposed north, south, and then the next page is east and west. The east elevation showed uncovering and restoring that existing window on the east. Actually, that wall is removed and moved out, so that window would be restored and relocated to the new east wall. But it would be the existing window that's now covered up. Does that make sense? It looks exactly the same, so it's hard to... All the elevations. Let's see. Anything else?
There's a chimney. Isn't there a chimney?
The chimney. So the chimney, as that same view shows, the southeast view from the street, you cannot see that small service chimney from the street. It's on the back, and it's about 2 feet tall above the roof, and it does impact the interior, the kitchen layout and design. And I think I made myself clear in the last case that I don't think it's a character-defining feature of the house. And it's not visible. It's on an interior lot.
It's that chimney right there?
No, that's the staying. That's the more decorative chimney.
Okay.
You can't see it from the street. You have to go to the back.
Do you know when that roofing was installed?
There it is. Oh, right there. See the right above the dish?
Yes.
That's it.
Alan, do you know when that roofing was installed?
We don't know.
You don't know?
It's fairly new. So right now, we're proposing matching it. We've looked at different manufacturers and have one that looks very similar.
Okay, any other questions? Concerns on any of the items? Anyone from the audience to speak? Please, come on up. Actually, you can go to this speaker, this deal there, and state your name and address, please.
Well, I'm James Smith from 405 on the east side, and he's been talking about me. But I'm here to just talk about drainage, because I've been in this house since 1977.
Okay.
But anything, the water would naturally go north or east. And it needs it needs to go north and east. But I think a lot of the driveways are designed to bring the water out to 34th, but mine does bring the water out to 34th Street. So I'm kind of here to say when they design the driveway, it would be nice if they take that into account. I think it could drain to 34th.
So, Alan, are there any topography changes proposed?
No, what we just talked about, just to confirm, there's no plan to change any of the grading or topography.
Okay.
And the sidewalk and the driveway are all just replaced in the exact same size.
Is there a drainage issue now with the current driveway and sidewalk on your
Not that
property?
the owner's aware of. So we're not going to do anything to affect the drainage off
Are
the
you
property.
noticing, Mr. Smith, that the water from their property currently goes into your garage?
I'm guessing I told Angela about 18-inch fall between where they are and ours. So the water will come at me, and anything that would slow that down is preferable to me.
So it currently comes to your property?
Yeah, and we haven't had big rains for years, but
Until yesterday?
But it can. Yeah, we kind of tried it yesterday.
Yeah.
And my neighbors to the north that have the pie-shaped lots, they don't really understand where this water comes from, but they try little things to keep water from coming. So I guess what I'm saying, any design that would try to bring the water away from going east would be something I would hope they'd incorporate.
Have you spoken with your neighbors about this before today to see if there's something they could incorporate?
I've spoke to my neighbor to the north that is trying to I know they know there's water coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he could address that.
Yes, my name is Kendall Parrish. I'm the owner. My wife, Ann, is with me. She's a co-owner as well. And, James, we'd be glad, and as we're part of what we want to do, I mean, as you've looked at some of these pictures and if you've seen the house, the driveway, the existing driveway is broken up in several places. And what we'd like to do is replace, as part of our plan, we want to replace all that driveway so that it's smooth again. We're not going to widen the driveway, but certainly as we're doing any of that work, we'll keep that in mind, because I know when I mow, I know that there's this little trough that's kind of over along where that corner of that fence is, and we'd be glad to do whatever we need to do to divert or kind of make sure that that water comes out toward 34th Street. It's certainly not our intent for it to continue to go that way. We have a similar issue on our west side of the house as well, and we're going to be dealing with that also.
Okay, so Mr. Smith, it sounds like Mr. Parrish wants to discuss that and see what they can do to kind of keep that water away from your property. So I hope that makes you feel a little better. You can discuss that with him after the meeting.
That was my purpose for coming.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments from commissioners?
Well, can I ask a question? And so how much, what's the percentage increase in the footprint of this house with the?
We're not increasing the footprint at all. We're just enclosing the attic space.
Okay. So it's, but how many square footage, how many square feet, I should have asked, I'm sorry. Is it?
In the staff report on page, just for your information, on page 2 of 57, I tabulate all the areas. There's a lot of work items.
I don't have to.
You see that, Linda? Page 2 of 57.
In the exhibits? Okay.
In the staff report.
Well, it's your
Yeah, it says itemized work items on the top. At the bottom, there's area calculations. Does everybody see it?
Yeah. And that, I guess, I'll go back and look. I thought there was something in the staff report about the size exceeding the guidelines, but I've got to go back and find that.
They did comment on the size. They didn't comment that it's all within the existing footprint, but
they did what?
Within the existing footprint. But the existing house is 1,623 square feet, and the expansion is 1,165 square feet in the attic. Again, but does not expand the footprint.
Linda, are you remembering maybe the garage? Because the garage is
No, the
proposed
garage was just barely.
from 418 to 595.
It's the, it's within the findings. It is that the proposed expansion of the attic creates an additional 1,165 square feet of living space, which is in excess of the criteria for additions, but it's located entirely within the footprint of the existing historic structure.
Okay.
Right, that's the comment.
So it's more about mass then than it would be.
Right. Yeah.
I do appreciate these kind of renovations where, I mean, for all intents and purposes, at least from street view, the house largely remains the same, but, the owner's still able to add some living space and make it more livable maybe than it was before.
We were able to get a little more square footage in the attic than normal because the living room and the dining room, which normally have a vaulted ceiling in these houses, just has a tray ceiling. It raises in the center about 4 inches, so we're able to just basically use more space in the attic since there's no vaulting. It's unusual, but so that's the reason why.
Okay, any other comments or questions from commissioners, or do we have a motion for any of the items?
I can make a motion. Just live with me on this one, so make sure it's right. Okay, I make a motion to approve HPCA 19-00062. I'm just going to go, let's see. The numbers are not, okay. Item 1 with the, let's see, that's staff. You say recommendations, but you are, okay, under 1, you don't have specific, you don't label that as specific findings.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the specific findings.
That is specific findings, okay, specific findings. Okay, with the specific findings as listed in the staff report, 1 through 15, and changing 16 to that the proposed windows at the dormers must remain the same size due to egress considerations, but have been changed to be the same width as first floor windows. And number 17, to be changed that the proposed skylights are not visible from the public right-of-way. And number 18, with the condition that the recommended additional information described by staff be submitted prior to the certificate of appropriateness. And, okay, so that's number 1 and 2. Number 3, with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report, to include the additional information supplied by the applicant in regards to the matching brick. And number 4, to replace the driveway and sidewalk with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report, including the condition to submit the additional information in regards to the paving should be a medium gray with a finish and color to match the historic concrete, and the painting and staining of the sidewalk may be appropriate if it maintains the continuity of materials and characters present in the district.
We're not planning on painting or staining the sidewalk.
Okay.
Just gray.
You just
The porch,
oh,
right?
The porch will be...
is the porch on that one too? No,
the porch is a different one, but...
The concrete, the driveways, and the recommended additional information by the staff includes the proposed paving to be medium gray, which the applicant has submitted, and to similar conditions if sidewalks are there sidewalks that are going to be...
They're all going to be gray to match.
Will there be new sidewalks?
Yes, the front sidewalk will be replaced.
Okay.
And the driveway.
To include the same condition for sidewalks.
They may be confused because right now the sidewalk is painted red, but we're not going to paint it.
Okay. And then number 5. Okay, let's see. Number 5. To install, in regards to installing the fence and the gate with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report, with the additional information, to include the additional information required or asked for by staff, and to include a condition that the east side of the fence beyond the 40% also be transparent. Is that correct? And lastly, to replace the front porch with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report, with the additional condition that the new porch be painted the same color as the existing porch. Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Been approved.
Okay, thank you.
Would this be an appropriate time to take a quick break?
And let's take a 5-minute break, please.
stopped walking. So I got to get went in the gully long gone. But then I gave her a ride from going to pick her up. She said if it was her,
From my microphone on, we're back in order now.
Okay.
Next case.
Right. HPCA 19-66 at 631 Northwest 20th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Craig Cook, Oasis Real Estate, LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct garage elective, 2, replace driveway elective, and 3, replace fence elective. I will say that the applicant has already discussed with staff making some changes to the fence to address the issues that were raised in the staff report. That's something that we can continue and could administratively approve and work with the applicant toward that item.
Okay. Perfect.
Introduce your...
My name is Craig Cook, owner, Oasis Real Estate.
Okay, great. All right, new garage.
If you want to just give the commission kind of an overview of the project.
So the plan here is to redo the fence, obviously. What I did with the fence and the continuation reasons for that is I just measured the fence where it currently is, and I drew that up on the plans. So we have no problem in moving the fence in per guidelines on that. As to the garage, there was an existing garage there. There's still somewhat of the driveway left. We will re-pour the driveway and footings and then construct a new two-car garage where one originally existed. The dumpster is currently the garage. We just park trash there instead of cars.
Okay.
We often, when we have no existing garage, we don't know what was ever there, but this was one that we did a CA for the demolition nearly 20 years ago. So we do have a photo of what was there. It was rather unusual. And
Yeah.
did you get this from me?
I did see a picture of that, and I still stuck with my design. I feel like that fits the character of the house way better than the flat roof. I mean, that wasn't original to the house. That was built later at some point in time.
Yeah, so we know that it was, there was an addition on the back of that garage that was demolished at one point, and then later the garage itself was demolished. It looks similar to what is shown on one of the Sanborn maps as far as the footprint of it, and the map did indicate that there was a parapet, but beyond that, don't know the history of that structure.
So Katie, the size and the appearance or the scale, are you requesting new drawings for the garage?
Yes, our main concern was that the drawings had some things that were out of scale and didn't appear to have been drawn accurately. I believe the applicant has worked with someone to get more professionally prepared drawings. No changes to the design, just revising the drawings of the garage itself. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yep. So
looks like it's about, I don't know, 40 feet tall.
Well, that's what I said. The door's a little tall. That might be.
I mean, I got somebody with a computer instead of construction paper and crayons. I think we're a little better now.
Thanks for the laugh.
And then the fence, there's not a problem putting it,
No.
moving it back?
Not at all. It's a very, very large backyard, so there won't be a problem moving that fence to the east whatsoever.
Okay. So that would require just a revision on the site plan?
Yeah, I suppose that could be approved with the condition that they submit the revision to staff.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see on the site plan, like where the garage is going and the fence and everything. So I don't know if you can clarify that somehow, maybe even if it's color-coded or something.
So the garage will come up to the fence will come up to the front corner of the garage and then off the back corner of the garage. So the garage itself will be accessible to the yard from the door without going through. The way it currently is laid out, you can see the fence here. You would have to go through the gate on your fence and then go through the door to your garage. So we're trying to just move the fence back to the sides of the garage. So you just come out your garage door and then to the back door of the home.
Out a door? A pedestrian door? You'd come out the pedestrian door? Okay. So you just need to clearly make those changes on the site plan and work with staff. So I would, so then the material for the fence, is it in here?
I believe we have that it's just going to be a wood stockade fence. Yep.
Okay. So I would make a motion to to approve HPCA 19-00066 with the specific findings for items 1 and 2 to include findings 1 and 2 and 5 with the condition that the applicant submit drawings to scale to staff prior to receiving the certificate. Okay, that would be for 1 and 2. And then for 3, okay. And then for 3, for the specific findings in regards to the proposed fence, that it meets the guidelines for materials with the condition that the applicant submit a revised site plan that clearly shows the location of all new landscaping or whatever, driveways, garages, and fence location. And if it's not in here, a description or something in regards to the type of fence, the size of the boards and the way that it's going to be finished at the top.
Second.
Before we vote on that, if you guys don't mind, can we go back to this photo of the garage that was demolished? Katie, do you have on the Sanborn map, like, do we know the age of this one? I mean, it looks historic to me. I'm sorry, I couldn't find the Sanborn map.
I think we didn't, Sanborn map didn't make it into your staff report. I know we looked at it. It did show a one-story 1922 Sanborn map shows a one-story garage with a one-story projection indicated spanning the entire rear lot line. The symbols on the Sanborn map indicate a parapet and a firewall extending 12 inches above the roof based on the map legend.
Okay, so this garage could have been from 1922.
Possibly, yes.
So I guess what I'm having trouble with is we know what was there. We like to go back with something that, is historic, and yet the proposed new garage is something totally different. So, I'm going to vote against this, but I just wanted to voice that. Like, we're going back with something totally different when we know what was there before. I didn't want my nay vote to be a surprise. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, this was kind of an unusual situation because, as I said, often we don't know what the historic garage was. Usually they're gone perhaps before it was a historic district or just kind of disappeared, and we didn't do a CA for it many years ago. So we often see new construction garages that look much like this, that are kind of your typical design with a gable roof and that sort of thing. And I think in large part those are kind of deemed compatible with the neighborhood. It is an unusual situation to have one where kind of this image of the historic garage surfaces.
Yeah, I think for me, if we didn't know what was there before, what you've proposed is perfectly reasonable and compatible. But since we do know what was there, to me, the guidelines don't support going back with something that is very different from the historic garage.
But we don't know when that garage was constructed, right? We know it was something of similar size, but I mean that...
Well, she just said the Sanborn map shows a garage in similar size with a parapet off of the front of it. This is clearly a historic garage. Even though there's not a date stamp on it, we kind of do know when it was constructed. The burden of proof would be on you to say this was built in 1980, it's not historic, but again, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
I totally get that. Even assuming it is historic, I think this is kind of a really interesting situation where the proposed garage would maybe even fit the existing house better than the original garage did, which I'm always kind of torn on that topic anyway, because the historic garage is pretty cool. Yeah. It's super unique. At the same time, it is gone, and I feel like to rebuild it that way, it could be nice, but at that point, it's not authentic either. So to me, it's like, if you build a compatible garage, even if it's not exactly approximating that original one, I think is okay, personally. That's my call. That's my thoughts.
I don't know.
I've interrupted. I mean,
both sides.
Yeah.
I think we had a second on your motion anyway.
I understand that. It's just a tough one to add to. I mean, if we had more information about, I don't know, maybe there was a house there that looked more. I look at it, well, maybe it was used maybe as a store.
That's what I was wondering.
Or something.
It was a little.
It's so unusual. It's odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is your motion to continue it? I mean, I was thinking maybe we should just continue it and let staff work with.
Her motion was to
approve it.
Yeah, I made a motion to approve it.
With condition that
with the
drawings be
conditions
submitted.
that he continue to, he submits additional drawings for the garage and additional revised site plan that clearly shows everything on the site in the correct place, unless there's...
To scale.
To scale, yes.
Was there a second on that? It was Suzanne, a second. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Just one, okay. All right, thank you. Been approved with condition. All right, next case.
Hpca 19-67 at 300 Northwest 17th Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Bruce Bacchus, architecture firm, for Philip Busey for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish rear pergola, walls, decks, stairs, and patio area, elective; 2, construct covered veranda, elective; and 3, construct uncovered terrace, elective; 4, construct walls around proposed terrace, elective; and 5, construct fireplace and chimney, elective.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Bruce Bacchus, and I live at 3920 North Harvey Parkway. And we got the staff report yesterday, and we have a dilemma because the Buseys have been selected to be on the home tour this fall in Heritage Hills. And so we're proposing, and I'll pass them around, a change to what we did propose to take some of the issues off the table, because we would really like to avoid a continuance. We really want to move forward with the project so they can be done in time for the home tour. So I'll pass out the change.
Where's the pergola? I don't see it. Where's it? Oh, that. Ah, there it is. Okay. What are the changes from your proposal?
Sure. So the original proposal had a built-in grill and fireplace that bounded the east border of the proposed addition, and there was some concern by staff that it would block the view into the backyard and be detrimental. And so we took that off and actually made the terrace, and I'm calling the terrace the uncovered portion of the design, and the veranda the covered portion of the design. So we lessened the scope of it and moved it back further from the street than the existing deck. The existing deck had a CA given to it 40 years ago, approximately. The owner, David Johnston, built the deck himself. The lattice work that you see now is actually plastic. So it's, I think the staff report says, it's not really historic. So we're glad to take that down. What the Buseys would like is a covered veranda so they can enjoy their backyard under cover. And their commitment to the property is very clear. I mean, they spent $700,000 renovating primarily the inside, but replacing windows, and we got the CA for that previously. And that commitment's been rewarded with a place on the home tour this fall. So the existing deck covers 580 square feet, and what we're proposing will only cover 555 square feet, so we're making it smaller. And so I'll go through the specific findings one by one, if that makes sense, or as you all try to absorb the change that we're proposing to avoid a continuance.
I don't think you need to go through all the specific findings.
Okay.
To me, Katie made a comment about new material, new information being submitted. This is like a subtraction of the previous. It's not a redesign, in my opinion. It's deleting a portion
Yeah,
that was
it's almost like they're
objectionable.
withdrawing an item.
Right.
From, withdrawing a portion of what was proposed before, as opposed to saying, here's all of this other new and different stuff that we're doing.
So
right.
And the cover over the covered veranda is the same.
Correct.
All that's the same.
And I'll point out that the covered veranda has the exact same footprint as the existing trellis. So we aren't making it any bigger. We're making it permanent.
Right.
But it's the same size. There had been some concern expressed that it looked bigger than what was there, and when in actuality it's the same size.
Yep.
And the drawing you just submitted, you have in parentheses, under the covered veranda and the terrace, the word concrete. Was that different from what you had proposed?
No, in the previous application, it wasn't made clear that it was concrete.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I wanted to make that clear that it was. I'll also say that there was some concern about, in the concrete structure that we're putting in and concern about drainage. And actually the deck that's built there, which is larger than what we're proposing, underneath that is a large concrete patio, so the permeability of the site will not be impacted negatively by what we're proposing.
So Katie, are you saying that we can just on item 5, we can just put withdrawn?
Right.
We totally agree that drainage needs to be addressed, and it will, for sure, but
Not the drainage, I'm just saying, if we take off if the fireplace and the chimney, is that just what you're asking to take off of the application?
Yes, the fireplace and chimney and several hundred square feet of terrace.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you would
Right.
just strike those items and then have to reference the revised drawings. We would probably need new elevations
sure.
to reflect those changes. I think just to make sure that I think you all have looked through this before. Aside from the footprint, it is a change in material. It is a more permanent looking material than what is there now. This is a corner lot, so this is visible from the street. So just to make sure that all of those issues are taken into consideration by the commission.
If that's all accurate, if we show the street view from Harvey looking at the backyard, not in that group. There we go. There's a fence along, so you see the existing trellis that sticks up. Most of it is obscured by the white picket fence, but it'll have a different character to it, but one that fits well with the existing home. With regard to making it distinct from the existing construction, we think that lowering the roof line of it where it doesn't tie into the existing, we set it off the corner so it doesn't line up exactly with the existing construction, and we changed the texture of it. So texture, height, and width are different and distinct from what is there, and we think that gives it a defining character that is subtly different from the existing construction.
Well, okay, when you say it's different from what is there, are you talking about the what being that pergola? or
From
the
the
house
existing
itself?
home, yeah.
From the existing home?
Yeah, so good question. The existing pergola.
Yeah, understand, it's not historic.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is those elements that you just described, you think are going to be sufficiently different from the existing home that would, to a person looking at it, it's going to be obvious that it's not part of the historic structure?
Right. So, great question. To me, it would be obvious, but I can't answer it for you. That the way that we made it distinct is not aligning it exactly with existing construction, lowering the roof line so it doesn't line up with existing. And the existing exterior of the house has that gunite plaster on it. It's very, very rough. And we're proposing that we go with a smooth plaster, so it's a very different texture. So for me, I'm going, okay, those are all three things that help make it distinguished from existing without it looking like a bad add-on. You want to do it in good taste.
Your drawing, unfortunately, the existing background, the house didn't print very well. It would have been nice to see the drawing, but you can kind of see it ghosted in proportion. Seems to fit pretty well to me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty appropriate to the neighborhood, to the house, and I think it'd be a nice addition.
I like the smaller size.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. More comments? We're starting to lose more people. This is it. Yeah, everybody has to stay.
I'll make a motion if we're ready.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, to approve HPCA 19-00067, Item 1, demolish the pergola and the deck with the specific findings as set out in the staff report, and to approve Item 2, now that's been changed. The covered veranda, the size of it has been changed? Is that... It stayed the same?
The uncovered one.
No, the uncovered, okay. Yeah. Item 2, construct covered veranda. Item 3, construct uncovered terrace with the change that is indicated in the drawing submitted to the commission today. And item 4, construct walls around proposed terrace. And item 5 has been withdrawn, so just do item 4. With the specific findings, 1 doesn't quite fit either with the fireplace and chimney cover. I don't think we need the specific finding 1. Let's see, so the specific finding would be 2. On this permeable paving, did we decide that concrete was okay there? Is that the discussion? Okay. 2, 4, 5, you'll address the drainage. 6. I think that's enough, right? That takes care of the findings that you need,
But
Katie?
you want to add the condition that they submit complete drawings of the revisions?
Well, you need that.
Revised drawings?
Sure.
Of course.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, been approved with condition.
Thank you for your service to the city, and a shout out to Angela. We turned this in on the last day about 4:30, and she knew I was coming. She already had all the paperwork put together, and she just sped up the process, so she did a great job.
Very efficient. Yeah. Thank you.
HPCA 19-68 at 124 Northwest 17th Street, Heritage Hills East, Ward 6. Consideration of possible action on application by John Austin for certificate of appropriateness to, I'm not going to read off all the items, but to make various alterations and repairs to the structure.
Okay. Hello, I'm John Austin, owner, 124 Northwest 17th.
Okay, that's what we needed. Thank you. All right.
I can kind of briefly summarize. There was a recommendation to approve the replacement of non-historic windows and replacing the back door. Staff did recommend continuance on the front porch, because, primarily because some of the drawings did not appear to match the historic porch, or what was left of the historic porch. So perhaps some documentation questions there. I believe similar concerns with the deck. Back decks are something we can often administratively approve if we just get the details that are needed. And then the widening of the front door was proposed, which the guidelines generally do not support altering historic door sizes, openings. And finally, just the light fixtures at the door. Just kind of, I think, ensuring that those were appropriate and compatible to the structure.
Katie, are there pictures of the back? Because when I was looking for what actually the deck would do, it was very difficult to have a sense of where it was going to be. Is that?
Look, I'm not sure.
I guess it's mentioned that the front door is being widened, but it seems to me, I'm looking at the existing elevation and proposed north elevation. Looks like the door is similar in width. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
It hasn't been widened.
Okay.
They're asking.
Well, I'm saying in the proposed or the new north elevation, it doesn't look like it's been widened either.
Does it look any different?
On page 22 of 47.
It's a little wider.
Is it?
Looks like it to me. It's only.
But I mean, it's not
4
like
inches.
they're not adding like side lights
No.
or any kind of, you know.
It's just 4 inches wider.
Gotcha. What is the width of that door? Is it 3.0 or is it wider than 3?
It's currently 32.
Oh, okay. So you're just, okay.
4 inches.
So honestly, that might almost be an ADA or an accessibility issue.
Well, private residents don't have to be, or don't have to meet ADA requirements.
I guess I'm not really, to me, if it makes it slightly more accessible, I don't think it has a huge change in character if it's 4 inches wider. I don't see a problem with that, personally.
And to tell you the truth, that front door existing looks narrow compared to
Right.
the windows next to.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There is a picture of the back of the house on page 27 of the attachments.
So there it is.
Oh, okay. So is the location of the air conditioners or whatever, is that why the deck doesn't wrap around that way? It kind of goes forward to the, it just seems kind of big.
Yes, ma'am. I saw the site plan.
Is there a fence in front of it?
There currently is a chain link fence, and so proposing to put a stockade fence.
Uh-huh. And then is it in the right place, Betty? Then is that 40% for that? Seem big.
I believe we were able to administratively approve the fence, so I think the fence is fine.
Okay. So the deck would go up to the fence?
Yes, ma'am. On page 18 of 47 shows
Uh-huh.
the site plan with the fence pushed back to the 40% mark.
Okay.
And so the dexes represent the fence, and the deck would go up to the fence.
When you had got the property, were the, I guess I'm a little confused, were the columns already down? Or you took the porch columns? Have
No,
they-
ma'am. No, when we purchased the property, the columns were intact as,
I saw the pictures, they were in,
yes, the
they
four
did appear in
columns.
poor condition, but you
Right.
took those down before
Yes, ma'am.
this, yeah.
Right.
So when you did all of that demolition, was there any evidence of this second short column that you're proposing?
I believe so, yes, ma'am. On the left, when you're facing the house on the right side of the steps, you could see the footers, or the footing where the
Footing for
old
that.
column would have been real similar to the short column on the left of the steps. So there's actually brick underneath, right at the base of the concrete steps. There's brick right under the grass at the ground level, as well as all the way from there, all the way to the right, to the far west of the front.
So that's how you came up with the porch design?
Yes, it's just to redo the existing
Redo the
design that was there. And we also found 2 additional cast stone, the proper term, but they're sitting up there on the porch, the long rectangular one. We found a long rectangular one, and we found another square one that would indicate that it went on top of a column that wasn't there.
One thing that is unusual are the skinny posts under the porte-cochere. Are those metal now?
Yes, ma'am.
Round.
I believe so, yes. Yeah, I would agree.
But on the sandboard map, it does show that porch extending, so it was there. It just seems, I don't know, maybe they removed them because they couldn't get a car through.
That would be my guess, based on other ones we've seen, or somebody hit it with the car and they took it out. I don't believe they're, other than painting it, I don't think they're proposing to do anything
yeah, I just wondered.
to it at this point.
So could we go back to the deck for a second?
Me too.
It does seem a bit out of proportion, and I need to understand, is that deck going to go all the way over to the fence?
Yes. Oh, sorry, I answered for him.
That's correct. Yes.
I think it's a yes.
And it's put to the side of the house because that's the exit, that's where the door is that would get you out onto the deck?
The door's on the back.
Yes, that's correct.
The door's on the back, isn't it?
Oh,
No.
I didn't see a door on the back unless I...
It's right behind, isn't there a door behind the bay window?
Nope. On page 24, that's correct. The door opens to the south.
Oh, right, it does.
Because I had the same issue. I looked at that because I thought the deck was a little bit extensive, a little large, wrapping around. I don't know exactly what would be more appropriate.
Well, so why does the deck need to be extending out to the side instead of, like most of them, extending through from the back of the house?
Yes, ma'am. The idea was to come off of the back, the south door, which leads into the kitchen.
I'm sorry, you'll have to say that again.
The exterior door, the kitchen door on the south side of the house, the back door of the house. So the idea is to come out of the back door onto the deck, and
Yes.
then it wraps around to the east and then back up to the north, to the fence line, to provide, being the east side of the house, it would be shaded in the evening. You can see the Capitol from there, the dome, and so that's the idea behind the deck.
I'd like to see it, if nothing else, pulled back from that bay a little bit. Just seems to be kind of crammed in there.
Those two, right, it kind of just runs right into that corner.
That corner, but that's where the fence is right now, right?
Right, but the fence could come back with it.
Is the fence new or proposed? It's new, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Maybe just pull the fence and the deck back a couple of feet. I think it's just running into that corner. I think it has just kind of a funny appearance.
Right. I think that's great. The reason it's where it is now is the 40% rule. So we just did the math and
Oh, did it? Okay.
So it can easily move it further to the south.
The 40% rule, does that go from the front face of the house, back of the house? How does that work?
From the front wall enclosed space down the side.
So
but it's a minimum, not a maximum. So
Okay.
yeah, they could push it back just a little bit to give that bay window some breathing room.
Yep.
Because I think, too, when you're in the house and that window's right there,
You don't wanna
you're
look at
going to
the
be
window.
staring at the fence, almost.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, that window's at a diagonal, so when you look out, you'll just be looking at a fence. So maybe if you pull it back a little bit, it won't be a little better.
There's a east-facing window in the kitchen, so maybe midway between the kitchen window and the bay. See on page 24? Somewhere
between the corner and the window?
Yeah, and the bay.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere in there, just so it's not on the right up against the bay.
Yeah, because that looks like it's probably at least maybe 4 or 5 feet. So you just split the difference almost between the window and that corner.
Well, I think the fence has been administratively approved, but we can revise that, and decks can be administratively approved. So if we want to just kind of provide that direction, then we can continue that item, and staff can work with the applicant to finalize those changes to the design.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve HPCA 19-00068. Okay. Item 1, so we do have documentation for the windows, no problem there?
Yes.
Okay. Item 2, let's see, item 2, with the specific findings as noted by staff. Item 2, no, that was number 7. It would be, well, item 2 with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report. Item 3 would be the same, specific findings. Item 5 would be to approve the deck with the condition that the applicant work with staff to submit final drawings, including revisions based on comments by the commission to move the 40% fence further back between the corner of the bay window and the kitchen window. Item 6, replace the front door and transom. Okay, and that is the specific findings. Okay, so staff did not recommend doing that, but sounds like we're for the width is what we're saying. That's
I think the 4 inches plus that makes it a standard 3.0 door, which is good for accessibility. So I don't think
okay. With the specific findings that the single door enlarged 4 inches for accessibility is appropriate.
Is that a unique circumstance, or is that just a... Because we're modifying an historic front door.
I don't know.
I don't know this, but is 32 inches an unusually narrow door
for
a historic?
door?
I don't think I've ever seen a 32-inch front door. They're always 36, seems like.
So maybe the unique circumstance that the door is unusually narrow in its current condition.
Okay.
And accessibility.
I'll include that. So 1, that the door is unusually narrow, and 2, that the 36-inch door accommodates accessibility.
Yeah.
Number 7, item 7.
What was that? I remember talking about that one.
That's the replace the back door. Replace the front door. I'm not seeing the back. Oh, okay. With the specific findings as noted by staff. And number 8, it was to continue. What did we need there? Did we need the exact light fixture?
We have the light fixture. I think just they're proposing one on either side of the door, which often we see just one to one side of the door, just ensuring that was compatible.
I would go with the staff's, okay, so, and approve item 8, but limit it to 1 light fixture as traditional, as the specific finding that the proposed. Okay, yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
Just wanted to make sure that that was including the reconstruct brick porch.
Yes.
Replace porch posts. Okay, 1, 2. So that would be
the porch.
2 and 3.
Number 2 and
together.
3 were under number 3.
Okay.
With the specific findings. The drawings are already submitted for that.
5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that it?
I have a question or comment about the light fixture. Is it appropriate to talk, the light fixture? Yes, on the front porch?
We're just limiting it to 1.
Okay, all right. The current light is on the left side of the door, and that's where the handle is on the left. We're looking to possibly move the handle to the right side of the door.
Move the light, whatever side, just 1.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you very much.
More restored. Okay, anything else? Got it? Is there a second?
Second.
That was half-hard. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, been approved with condition. Thank you. Is that it? One more. Okay.
We've got one more, and one more case, and then you have an amended agenda that I don't know if everyone even noticed with a lot split on it. So that's why Floyd, once again, Floyd is hanging out in the back of the room alone at the very last. But Hpca 19-69 at 634 Northwest 20th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application by Craig Cook, Oasis Real Estate LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, alter porch to create covered parking elective, and 2, install driveway elective. This is a pretty unusual property that has another structure on the rear portion, what would have been the backyard. There's very limited space at the rear of the property. They are in a corner, and then minimal space to the east of the house as well. The Sanborn maps suggest that this porch originally was not a wraparound porch, that it stopped at the side of the house and at some point in time was extended. So, further removing an ability to put a driveway or garage or anything to the side of the house. So the applicant is trying to find a method for accommodating some sort of parking on this site.
So you're saying that the porch was just on the front at one time?
The Sanborn maps show it just at the front of the house. Okay. Now, Sanborn maps can be wrong, but...
Right. This was unusual, and with that, with Katie providing additional information, I mean, I would not go for keeping, are you...
And I do have some further details.
Well, if you're thinking of using going between there or doing something there, is that what you're thinking?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I would prefer just, if it once had just a single roof, I would go back to the single roof, just chop the porch off and put a driveway. Okay. Does that help?
Well, how about, hold on just a second. Go ahead, if you want to go ahead and pass those down and then speak so that you're on the microphone.
Yeah, you need to go to the microphone.
We've got to record you.
Thank you.
All right, the garage. Wow.
Sorry
Holy
about that.
mackerel, you stepped up your game here.
I'm sorry?
No, I said you stepped up your game here.
We
Very nice.
tried.
Okay.
Okay. Nice drawings.
I just had to find somebody that could put the vision to paper.
Is there room to get through there?
Yes, ma'am. As you can see in the elevations, there's kind of an invisible mock car in there.
I'm looking, and it just looks very tight.
The width between the columns is 7 foot 3 inches. Fairly narrow.
I mean, so on the side.
We have lots of historic driveways that are 7.5 feet wide, 8 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not an unusual width historically. I don't know how many cars will fit in there, but if fold the mirrors in.
That's
I mean,
the width.
Based on the drawings, I mean, now that I can, it makes sense.
I think another thing that gives this property a unique circumstance, as you can see by the front elevation here, the garage that's there for the house to the east of us there, that house actually sits on our property line, and then the duplex that was built behind us actually took up what was once part of our lot. So we're boxed in. There's not a whole lot we can do anywhere.
Okay, my other question is that you wanted to take the shingle,
Yeah, so I've gone back and forth with the shingles, and I've spoken with Katie about it. I do not believe that the shingles are original to the home.
have you taken any off and
Yes,
found
ma'am.
anything under
There's
there?
nothing behind the shingles.
I mean, I know this house well. I don't know why, because I drive by that street, I guess, a lot. But, I mean, it is shingled at the top. Does that,
So if you look at the rear of the home is all lap siding.
yeah? But not, isn't that shingles above it?
No, ma'am, this is still the west
still the
side of that.
side.
So
Okay. So you're proposing to take all of the shingles off?
yes, ma'am.
So I do want to say that's not any part of this, that wasn't on the agenda, too. It's something that the applicant has discussed with us, but it wasn't included at the time that
Correct.
we noticed for this, so we can't take any action on the shingles. But if we have some brief kind of advice for him, that might be something that we could pursue as an administrative approval.
I'm not opposed to leaving the shingles.
I just think you need documentation. You
Okay.
either need to show that it wasn't there and that you found other places on the three sides that have the lap siding, or that there's something under the columns. I mean, it's unusual, but it's consistent too.
It is. Three sides of the home do have the shingles. All of the columns have the shingles.
Oh.
So I'm not opposed to leaving the shingles. I've been back and forth on this one, and I don't believe that the shingles
If
were.
there's other shingles in the neighborhood, I would just say you're probably stuck with the shingles.
Okay.
But if we find evidence that would suggest that those are not original, then we could administratively approve removing the shingles. We'd probably just need to do a little more digging on
Okay.
that.
But today you're wanting to convert the porch to a parking cover
Yes.
and install the driveway.
Well, it's really pretty, and it looks good and all, but there is guideline 3.38, which says, do not add a portico share to a building where none historically existed. Are we in that?
That's one, that's why, in a way, the other one, there is evidence for a single roof on the front. I mean, I'm with you. The first thing I thought was no. The drawings at least made it look possible, but after Katie said the single porch roof, that would probably, with that, I think it would be a better way to go, really. It'd be more historic. Just take off the porch on the extension, which wasn't there originally, and then just put a driveway.
I kind of agree.
And then it's not fake. At least it's on historic.
I agree with that.
So it wouldn't be covered?
It wouldn't be covered.
Right, yeah. Based on the discussion earlier today,
But it
I
would
just don't
be,
see how
it
we
would
can
be historic
consistent.
in that you're removing something that was added after a certain time period. So we're not, yeah.
I agree. Especially after
Does that sound like a solution?
In the last two meetings.
I get the point of it all. I just, people still, would prefer covered parking, and I understand the rules and guidelines
Right.
and everything. Just in this situation, there's absolutely no way possible to make it happen anywhere else.
Right. I think, though, that in this case, we actually do have, Suzanne's pointed out, we do have a guideline that says no portico shares to be added.
Right.
Is this technically being added, or is it just, it's like, almost like we're modifying the portico share, not really adding it, you're taking out the middle portion of it. Technically, is there adding it? I guess I'm in agreement with everybody else so far that it'd be better just to chop that off and have an uncovered parking spot in the driveway.
If the existing column spacing was sufficient, but we're extending it, we're not just, we're extending the existing.
I would not vote to extend the existing roof line to basically create a portico share.
So you do have to extend it.
I'd have to go back and measure. If we can fit the car in front of the fireplace itself.
If you look at sheet 8, look at his sheet 8, it shows the existing on top and proposed on the bottom, and the proposed is extended, it's wider. Sheet 8 of his drawings. On his drawings he just gave us. Sheet 8 shows existing on top and proposed on the bottom, and proposed is much wider.
Yeah, on the site plan, the existing, there's almost 7 feet to the property line. On the proposed, it's 5 feet. So it does look like it extends out by about 2 feet.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But you can see it on the framing plan real easily. So
there's no way to make, most people want nowadays covered parking, especially in Oklahoma.
were you here for the entire meeting?
I was here for the entire meeting.
We had quite a discussion.
I understand the entire discussion, but this is kind of a unique circumstance also. There's no way to put a garage, there's no way to put anything at this property other than this.
That is a unique circumstance. The other project had a garage.
It is, but there are plenty of houses in Mesta Park that have no driveways. All up and down 21st and 22nd. I drive 21st, so I know it's like at night, both sides, because there's not even any, some of them there's not even a driveway, they're just house and house and house. So I don't think it's unusual to the neighborhood, but I don't know.
I don't necessarily think that it's unusual, but doesn't it improve?
I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier in the day, that the commission is not here to provide covered parking. I mean, if we can accommodate, we try our best, but that's just not, it's not part of our
We
duty
could
here.
approve a driveway.
We could approve the driveway.
Right, we could approve the driveway.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've
And
done
we could
that.
Right. I think we would approve taking the porch so that it was just covered the front of the facade.
So
And
we're
then-
saying if I didn't change the roof line itself, if that is sufficient for parking, I could do that?
No, I don't. I think we've got people no.
I would be more open to that, but I don't think it's wide. And it's already, your proposed is only 7 foot wide. That would be 5 feet wide. There's no way you get a car in there, you know, unless it's a Mini Cooper. Just kidding. It's getting past 5 years. One thing you could do, though, if you didn't have if you weren't trying to build a porte cochere, you could move the driveway closer to the property line, since you're not trying to match it up with that.
Okay.
Because right now, the lines kind of overlaps the front of the house. You could move it over so it's clear of the house, it looks like, on your site plan.
Doesn't the driveway have to stay 5 feet off the property line, though?
The driveway can go up to the property
It
line.
can go up to the property
Yeah.
line? Okay.
Yeah. So that would be a plus.
So if you were going to still do some sort of work to the porch, if you were going to take off that wraparound side, then we would need to still see those drawings again.
Okay.
So we could continue this to either June 5th or July 3rd. If we continue to June 5th, then we need new drawings from you by Tuesday.
Okay. I mean, she already has everything. I mean, I don't think it'd be too hard to chop them.
Can it go for June?
June, yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to continue. Find my number here. Piece of paper. Continue HPCA 19-00069 to the
June 5th.
June 5th meeting. Oh, June 3rd.
It's June 5th and July 3rd.
So,
Okay, is there a second?
Okay.
Second.
It's okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, continued. Thanks for doing the drawings, too, sir. That was helped a lot.
Okay, we have many administrative approvals and such, but we do have on your amended agenda, we have under other business, one item, which is a recommendation on a proposed lot split. This is one that was referenced a couple of months ago, I believe, when we approved the construction of a new house on this lot. This is the property that is adjacent to, or it's part of the Sunbeam properties, where their parking currently extends across the rear portion of the lot. They've been approved to build a single-family home on the northern portion of the lot and want to kind of formally split off that rear portion so that that can remain parking for the office and residential buildings to the west. This is a recommendation that will go back to subdivision and zoning to finalize the lot split. I think Rita had some more information about procedural happenings with that, and can answer any questions since we don't see lot splits all that often.
The provisions of Section 59-7250 of Chapter 59, the Code, speak to, at Section 2B, the manner in which lot split should be considered. For purposes of the HP Commission, one thing you could consider is whether or not a lot split at paragraph B would affect the site, whether or not you think that the site itself is historic and that to split the lot
would affect the historic status of the site. If you decided that it did, and that was your recommendation, then it could be appealed to the Board of Adjustment. If you decided that it was not anything that affected the site itself or the historic significance of that particular site, then the applicant would apply to staff. There is an application for a lot split. If that application was approved, then, of course, the lot would be split. There's a fee, $13 fee for applying. If the applicant's application was denied, then that would also go to the Board of Adjustment on appeal. The particular criteria is found, as I said, in Section 7250 of Chapter 59, Section 59-7250.2b, which says historic district designation criteria, and it lists a site as something to look at as a place to preserve in areas of historical, cultural, architectural, and so forth significance. So first you just have to decide what you think about that site.
Well, I have a question for you. Isn't there a minimum lot size?
Floyd Simon, 900 Northwest 16th Street.
Sorry, I jumped ahead of you there.
I don't think the minimums, from what I've been told, fall under HP.
Is that right?
That is right. HP is the base zoning, and as opposed to R1 or R4, et cetera, that have this many square feet lot size requirement, HP does not have a minimum lot size requirement. We have guidelines. We have what Rita referenced, and then we have guidelines that talk about maintaining uniformity and consistency in orientation of properties. It talks about creation of new lots and the width of lots. But it's all kind of based on context, not a mathematical calculation.
So this lot would be subject to the same building setback and everything?
Correct.
Yep.
This is the house that we approved, last meeting? Or the meeting?
It was, I believe, 2 meetings ago. We approved it, did it without the lot split. Obviously originally we went with the 50 by 85 feet, which would fit the lot or the house that was proposed on it. But we've added a panhandle, per se, to go through the parking lot, and that's just to hit the sewer. We will do some sort of ground lease or cross-access agreement to keep the parking on that, so this structure will not use that 10 by 65 feet. That really is just granted to this lot so we can have a sewer line to connect to the Oklahoma City main.
Yeah, we've kind of done this on some of our projects where you have to explicitly have utilities on your own property, so kind of makes it difficult sometimes.
So that's why it has kind of a backwards Oklahoma shape.
Yeah.
So this is Sunbeam side of this lot split that we're splitting again?
What?
I mean, are we talking about this back?
So what it is, it's lots 9 through 14, the Sunbeam Mark LLC. This current lot is 13 and 14. We are trying to keep the back portion of the property for parking for the ARC, which is the office building adjacent to this lot. So that's why we're not giving it the full length of 13 and 14 to preserve 10 parking spots for the office building, so we can keep as many people off of the street, because that's one of the main things that neighbors, want us to not park all over the neighborhood.
It's Sunbeam's property.
Yeah.
I think with the proper setback and the width is the same in the front, if it fits, I don't see why it doesn't meet the requirements for relationship between building structure, sidewalks, because it's mainly the front, I think, that they're talking about.
Right. And
so
this is kind of a leftover lot in some regards. Putting the house there is going to create a better landscape, I think. And
Fill in that
also
gap.
that lot is is divided from the arc with like a 3-foot-high concrete retaining wall.
Yes, it's divided, and there's been a fence. You can see the fence currently that sits there that is in front of the current parking lot.
Okay, I think it looks...
And there's another small house right there, too, on the corner.
Yes.
With then another small house behind that house, so it'd be 3 little houses right there together.
I think this is probably the weirdest block in HP, as far as the assortment of oddly placed and shaped structures.
Okay. That's right.
Got it.
Okay, is there any more comments or a motion?
Are we making a recommendation?
Yes.
I would recommend approval of DA 25775 and 25776, lot split at 604 and 618 Northwest 21st Street.
What is your specific recommendation?
I guess my specific recommendation is that the lot is split. Is that where we
It should say something like whether or not you think it affects the...
I do not think it affects the historical significance or historical fabric of the sites.
Katie, were you going to say something?
It's no adverse effect.
No adverse effect. There you go.
Second. Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. It's recommended for approval.
Thank you to the commission. Thanks for staying late today.
Well, thank you for sticking around. All right, so on to communication report, administrative approvals. Bunch.
Yep. Let us know if you have questions on any of those. Nothing listed under all of these other categories, but I did want to report that a couple of weeks ago, the Capitol Hill National Register District nomination went to SHPO's Historic Preservation Review Committee and was recommended for approval. So that'll move on for National Park Service. No concerns there. And hopefully in the next 2 months or so, that district will be on the National Register.
Okay, nothing.
And that was that nomination was prepared by the city who did that nomination. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm telling you.
We saw it. It's good.
I have a question on number 2.
Which one?
Number 2. On
Administrative
administrative approval? Yes. How many, are they, did they just get extensions on pieces of that? Because this is like 2 years.
They've had multiple CAs.
Okay, multiple
So that's why it
CAs,
seems
okay.
like it's gone on for, they had one CA, I think
It's
they
like
got an
evergreen.
extension on that. It expired. They came back for another CA for just a few pieces of that project, and they're doing an extension on that one. So the never-ending
Okay, thank you.
project.
I've been on here a long time, I was curious, thank you.
Okay. B, C, D, E, F, nothing. Just on G, would you like to say anything about our
So
landmark?
we are scheduling a special meeting for June 24th to make a recommendation on First Christian Church that is so that our regular applicants don't have to sit through First Christian Church, and First Christian Church doesn't have to sit through our regular applicants.
Yep.
Those summer meetings get to be really long, just like today's. So I thought we would just divide those two up
idea.
and have it just be all one meeting, so everybody's focused. And we'll get notice out and staff reports out for that.
June 24th. Okay.
Well, so at our meeting, they sort of proposed that there was going to be a memorandum of agreement, that something was going to go to council, and that never occurred. At any point, that could come back and be on a council agenda, and if something does happen on a council agenda, we'll let everybody know. It's also been in the press that another church has expressed interest in buying the building. At this point, that doesn't really change anything about our process
Right.
and our timelines that the ordinance lays out. So,
What time would that meeting be on the 24th? 2?
Paula, do we have that for 2 p.m.? Yes.
Okay, just want to get it down.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Anything from municipal councilor? All right, next meeting date. The next regular scheduled meeting for the Historic Preservation Commission is June 5th, 2019 at 2 p.m. at the Municipal Building. New applications for this meeting were received April 30th, 2019. New information on projects continued from today's meeting to the upcoming meeting must be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, May 7th, 2019. 2, the next regular scheduled workshop for the Historic Preservation Commission is Wednesday, June 12th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 420 West Main, Suite 900. Any items from commissioners? And no citizens to be heard, so since there is no further business, we are adjourned. Thank you.